Hello and welcome back to Blood and Ashes. This is episode 100.
Woo-hoo.
Can you believe it? Where we will cover Crossroads of Twilight, chapters 20 through 24.
You're not allowed to speak, Mark. There's too much celebration going on.
I'm still your host, Mo, and I'm joined for the 100th time by my marked friends, Willie.
Yes, as chosen, nameless.
And Jody.
I know what you refer, but you can't see it, can you, on my forehead? It feels like it was burnt there, but it wasn't really. It's a magical burn.
Yes, so, I mean, here we are, episode 100, as we said in the previous episode, almost 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And for the benefit of our listeners, we had a couple ideas of some things that we would like to do to mark 100th episode. I know at 50 episodes we had Rowan and Kerry join us during the episode. And for 100, I had all sorts of ideas. We explored maybe getting Adrian, our first, number one fan, involved, but like the time zones would make it a 2 a.m. recording for her, so that didn't really work out. And I went through a list of things that I wanted to try out, but I can honestly say what I really wanted to do the most was just get on with the book and get into the chapters and talk about it.
Make it end. Please God, make it
I knew
end.
one of you or both of you would come at it with that angle. But no, like genuine excitement, not specifically for these chapters or this content or anything, but like I have the most fun when we are going through the book and talking about the actual content. So that's basically where we've ended up.
True. Also, 100 episodes and 50,000 downloads for the people that are not in the
that's
Discord
right.
group. 50,000 downloads. Thank you, everybody, for downloading.
Well
All
done,
50,000 of you.
everyone.
Incredible stuff.
Yes, because everyone only listens once
Of
and
course.
then turns away.
It was 50,000 people. Exactly.
By the
That
laws
started and left.
that govern me and my ridiculous mouth, I'd say that then I probably offended people 25,000 times.
One can
At
only
least.
hope.
Yes. No, I mean, like Jody said, obviously, thank you to everyone that's tuned in just so many times. 50,000 times people have chosen to listen to the three of us idiots talk about the Wheel of Time for like hours on end. And the mind boggles, but we super appreciate it. And those emails and like listener messages and voice notes and stuff we get are super reaffirming. I mean, they've been an unforeseen side effect of doing this podcast and sort of like, building up a bit of a community around the podcast. It was not something we set out to do, but has been something that sort of like kept the motivation up for me as well. And it's cool. Even when people don't agree with my one-sided takes on stuff, it's still fun to deliberate and to discuss them. So thanks to everyone for tuning in.
Do we get perks now that we've a perquisite of a recording person of this job now after 100
you gained
episodes?
knowledge,
Do I
plus one
get
knowledge.
snacks? Like
We get a tiny PNG image on our hosting site of a little ribbon with a 50K in it that only we can see.
I get nothing.
Wow. But that makes us feel special. It's just for us.
It does.
Guys, that's
it
why.
does. Oh, that little PNG. It's my favorite PNG ever.
I just thought of something besides the PNG. We should have a poll. I would like to know where everybody that listened, all 50,000 of these people, heard about us. Like, how did you find us? How do we do a poll like that,
I
Maurice?
don't think it works like that, Jody. It's not.
How does
50,000
what not
people.
work like how?
There's 100 episodes, so if you just do basic math, that's like 5,000 people or 1,000 people. I don't know how does basic math work. I'm not really good at this.
5,000. 1,000 people?
50,100 episodes, 5,000.
Yes. Okay.
No,
These
well,
people, where did they hear about us?
that's a good question, Jody. It's difficult to do a poll because people could have heard from us from so many different places. We've heard lots of messages from listeners about how they evangelize the show, how they just tell people either on Twitter or like their immediate friends and family or people that they know that have read the books, or in other forums. I think who was it that was saying on Reddit they were sort of like scouring the reread channels, saying, hey, listen to this, and took credit for a person that had mentioned that they came across us on Reddit.
Oh, cool.
So it's happening everywhere. So the poll is difficult to do anywhere other than on the podcast, because this is the place that everyone that we are talking about comes to eventually, right? Not everyone's on Reddit, not everyone's on Twitter, not everyone's on Blue Sky or emailing us directly or any of that. So
Blue Sky. See more things?
I think it's an animation
there's a thing you
company.
don't even know about. Now, it's when everyone bailed out of Twitter. Blue Sky is the sort of the Twitter challenger, heir apparent.
Okay, so
coming
Blue
for the
Sky
throne.
is now the blue and Twitter's the red.
Daughter heir, but it needs the support of the majority of 19 houses.
Of course.
to get
I think it's got like 5 or 6 houses now.
yeah, but the high seats are all children that were easy to get.
Yeah, Twitter was full of childlike people. So maybe they all went there.
Yes. Okay, well, now we are sort of edging up on our actual content. So should we kick off our episode 100 content, I guess, with everyone's favorite section called Callbacks? Question mark?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I think that's a yes. Alrighty. When does Aramilla attack Camelin? We were pondering that, and it is towards the end of book 11. So everyone was waiting for like, oh, when is this attack going to happen? The houses are going to back Elaine. She's going to take the throne toward the end of the next book. Which I guess in podcast chronology is the end of the next 2 books, since we're doing New Spring before we get to
Oh, shitballs, yeah.
book 11.
New Spring's
Then
gonna fly like just.
It is.
It's gonna be
It is.
so quick and so much fun and exciting.
It's going to be 5 episodes, I think. Yeah. Then we had some chat about, if you can cast your minds this far back to the Trolloc script and the Dark Prophecies in Feldara, when we had a listener write in and posit, I think it was Gary that wrote in and said, could it have been Varen that let Paden Fane out? More on that later. But the message on the walls of Feldara was just the Dark Prophecy, which itself mentioned the Watchers of the Waves and Toman Head. So it wasn't a specific message scrawled by Paden Fane to say, come to Toman Head. It was just the Dark Prophecy in Trolloc script, and it was Varen that deciphered it.
Deciphered it, but who wrote it? I suppose that's the thing we're coming back to.
We will come back to that, yes. In a listener contribution. Gary's, in fact, who went and looked up his own.
Like
his
a dog
own
with a bone.
theory. Yes, yes. Then we had some speculation around Rhiannon Nadale and her notes about the Tel Aranrihad, right? She had studied those Dream Terangriel for about 50 years. And one of the listeners was asking why would she not have given those notes, or we had said that why would she not have given those notes to Egwene when she gave her the stone ring Terangriel, and they had a theory that maybe it was just the notes were so unreliable. So I went and I read up about Rhiannon a little bit. So Varen found the ring and a collection of her notes only by chance, and all records of the Terangriel had been removed from the official records, so we all remember that. Varen thinks that Rhiannon was a very secretive woman. She kept most of her knowledge to herself, leaving most of what she had learned only in her notes. This brings into question how much information Rhiannon withheld from the White Tower in her research, which to me seems like virtually all of it. Given that Varen withheld the notes at the same time she was assisting Egwene in her search for members of the Black Ajah, Varen could have been caught between her Black Ajah oaths and the Amelins' command to help Egwene, violating which would also have meant violating the oaths. In that case, it is entirely possible that Rhiannon herself was Black Ajah, and that her notes proved it, so she couldn't hand them over to Egwene, or that somehow the notes or how she came to possess them would show Varen to be a Black Sister. So, if you remember, at the time, a bunch of Dream Terangriel were also stolen by Liandrin and her cadre of Black Ajah sisters when they left. Remember the little porcupine, and Fail was trapped in Tel Aranrihad. Perrin went in there in the wolf dream to go free Fail. You remember there were a bunch of Dream Terangriel that were among the Terangriel that they had stolen. And another theory is that if Rhiannon was Black Ajah, she could have shared some of that information with the other Black Ajah sisters, so they would know which Terangriel to steal. I had said, wasn't Rhiannon the one that had died in Tel Aranrihad or was burnt out or something, but we don't actually know how she died or whether she was burnt out. Only that she was a dreamer, not a dream walker. and that she studied the dream ter'angreal for 50 years. So she was like Egwene, could have prophetic dreams, right? That have, connotations to what could potentially happen in the future. But quite specifically, not a dream walker. So she wasn't specifically adept at managing Tel'aran'rhiod, entering without a ter'angreal, or being particularly powerful there. I had said that Delana is asking whether Elaine will bond Gareth Bryan as her warder, and I obviously meant Egwene. There was a couple times, actually, Vil, you and I both said Elaine instead of Egwene. I mean, Elaine was nowhere near the scene or anything. I would hope that the listeners would have inferred that
these
anyway.
These names are just eyes,
interchangeable,
ears,
same person.
Syllables.
Everybody
things.
knew what you meant, Moritz. Nobody, I didn't
yes.
realize that at the time or now. I just believe you. Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, you didn't say anything at the time either.
No.
So in that conversation, Delana was not necessarily insinuating that there's any kind of romance between Egwene and Gareth. She thinks out loud whether Siuan would have a reaction to Egwene bonding Gareth, since it seems they have some kind of complicated relationship. And Delana does say she's always thought of Egwene as a green. I sort of played that down, but she says to Egwene outright, I've always thought of you as a green, and it's because she says greens often for their first warder choose a much more experienced person as their first warder. And that's why she was saying to Egwene, I think of you as a green, so Gareth Bryan being older and more experienced would make sense.
But also, yes, like being Battle Ajah, you want to have someone that's battle weary.
A great captain, maybe. Yes. Yeah, with a massive
I just had
resume.
a whole...
You went off on a tangent.
I went off on a mind tangent right now.
Head tangent.
I was head tangent. Let me try and put it into words now. Word tangent.
Please.
How does Delana know that? Like, is she manipulating her? She's trying to butter up, but how does she know that Egwene would have been green if she wasn't the Amyrlin seat? But Delana is hanging out with Halima, so Halima's in her tent telling her all this stuff that she wouldn't normally say to anyone else. She spilled the beans. She told Delana, use this against her, and she came back. That was, put it into words. You get what I'm saying.
I mean, quite right. Yeah, I didn't think that Delana necessarily needs a reason to think of Egwene as green, but you're right. Like, if Delana is feeding her little tidbits like that, then she can quite easily fold it into a conversation where it would seem innocuous, right? And innocent. Yeah. Like, I never heard you say that, but
yeah, because
I always thought
Egwene actually does think like, she thinks I'm green. Like, she gets like, she thinks, that's cool because I do think of myself as green. Like, it works.
She does, yes.
So I don't think
exactly.
It's pure choice. It doesn't seem like she's been spilling the beans telling everybody that she's, if I hadn't been the Amyrlin, I would have been green.
Don't think she's told anyone.
So I asked a question in my mind, went down a little rabbit hole, found the answer, and presented it to you in real time.
Please do that again.
I don't know. I'm on the ball today, guys. Let's go. Throw your theories at me.
All
right. I love it.
I'll solve any issues right now.
Okay.
Marriage problems? Let me know.
No, I'm fine.
Health issues? Yeah? I'm like a guru.
Fit as a fiddle.
All right.
Right, so back to Wheel of Time. Nicola is, quote-unquote, foretelling 2 or 3 times a day. That's how often she's pretending to have a foretelling. Elaida has had only 3 that we know of in the entirety of the story. In fact, one of them, I think, happens before the story, before we read. It's the one that you had mentioned before, Jody, about the importance of the Andorran bloodline, which she mistakenly thought was the Trakans, but it's actually, obviously, the Mantias with Tigraine. The next one was the one that she has in Rand's presence in the Eye of the World. When Rand is in the throne room, she has one there about how Rand is going to, bring the world into disarray. And then the one about the Black Tower, which she completely misinterpreted. It goes, the White Tower will be whole again, except for remnants cast out and scorned, while whole and stronger than ever. Rand al'Thor will face the Amyrlin seat and know her anger. The Black Tower will be rent in blood and fire, and sisters will walk its grounds. This I foretell. You can see how Elaida would say, oh yes, that sounds exactly like what I want, but it super isn't.
Yeah.
Vil, you'd mentioned the siege in Tyr. So some of these reports that that Siuan was giving Egwene, right? So Siuan is still reporting on her own Eyes and Ears network, Leanne's Eyes and Ears network, which is the one inside of Tarvalon itself. So Leanne is getting information out of Tarvalon, the city they're besieging, which is useful. And then also what the Ajah heads are choosing to share with Egwene via Siuan. And they were talking about some of the things like the siege in Tyr, where we know that Mesaana was spotted, which is a shock to them. And then you said, Vil, that there's reports of a siege in Ilion, but it's not quite a siege yet. It's just that Ilion is facing the continued threat from the Seanchan, who have taken Ibudar, because as you recall, like Ibudar and Ilion are sort of along the same coast there. We were right. It is Lord Gregorin that has been set up as the steward of Ilion. And he is, now I've forgotten what it was. I didn't write it down, but he is a member of the Council of the Nine, I think. I called him a merchant or something, but yes, it was him put in charge of Ilion. And then, so we had a bit of a chat about Siuan and Egwene talking about Cadsuane and wondering about whether she's a dark friend or not. And I'd sort of played it down, but they do discuss it, Vil. You were quite right. And the rationale for why they are discussing it is as follows. Siuan and Egwene are discussing Cadsuane because the reports Siuan has been gathering from the Ajah eyes and ears, her own eyes and ears, and Lehan's have made it clear that Rand has Aes Sedai doing his bidding out of Cairhien, right? We know that. But the list of names trickling out contained both Tower sisters and Rebel sisters, none of whom would willingly work together. So Egwene and Siuan must consider that someone is using compulsion, because Rebels and Tower sisters would not all be working together for Rand. So that's why they think, okay, maybe they've been compelled. The fact that the Aes Sedai continued to work together out of Cairhien more than a week after Rand has left turned their attention to Cadsuane, who had remained in Cairhien for a time. So they know that Cadsuane is pulling the strings in Cairhien. Rand had already left, and these sisters are still working together, who ordinarily would not be working together. And therefore they think maybe if Cadsuane is using compulsion, she must be a dark friend. And that's the sort of logic puzzle that they try to put together to at least consider the fact that that Cadsuane is. I think Siuan says something along the lines of, she can't prove it, but she thinks it's true. So, incorrect, Siuan. And then the last one here, Joe, you asked which Ajah Morvrin is from. You guessed Brown, and she is. Moria, who we read about quite a lot in that hall meeting, who pushed for an agreement with the Black Tower, is Black Ajah.
Yes.
So that I found interesting, that a Black Ajah sister would push for them to actually negotiate with the Black Tower, unless maybe she's aware of some Taim/Demon Dread activity in the Black Tower and just how corrupt it's gotten. Because we know it's pretty bad there already.
Yeah, but maybe she just wants conflict.
Yeah, maybe she thinks it's like oil and water. They're never going to mix, so let's put them together.
Yes.
Okay, then on to listener contributions. We've got Adam McKinnon writing in with the following. He says, hey, just wanted to send my unsolicited opinion on The Slog. For me, if book 1 was written like book 10, I never would have finished the first book. I gave up reading them for months at a time and only finished because I forced myself to keep reading until Egwene got captured, and then I was hooked again. Thanks again for the podcast, and I hope you guys hugged it out after your battle of the Slug. I said, we always do, and we will again.
Virtual hugs, so far away.
That battle, it's decided. The victory is coming. The dark is taken.
Villy, in the last episode, Villy was gathering a lot of evidence for a case he was going to make.
Still
that he chose not to make. He's still working on it. Okay.
Still working on it, hence why I say the dark is triumphant.
Okay. Foregone conclusion. All right. So then Gary writes in to check on Villy and to debunk his own theory about Varen freeing Paden Fane. So he goes, hey guys, just finished episode 99. Villy sounded like his wattage was dialed all the way back. Is he okay? And I had to let him know, yes, it's just Villy is a busy guy, single dad, and we record these at night after, like often the only time that we get to unwind from work. So, I mean, the amount of hangovers that have been stealthily passed through this podcast and other times not so stealthily is significant.
Eva, you speak only about yourself. Me, yes. I am a man of the cloth and the... what?
But you're dark
I am not a white cloak. I'm a dark friend. Yes, right. I partake in dark business.
Old Jacob Carradine was both.
Yep. Jacob, he liked the booze. He tried to hide in it.
It was the end of him.
It quite literally was the end of him.
Yes, his undoing. Gary says then about his own theory, calling back on my little theory on who freed Fane in Feldara. Apparently there's no mystery, as RJ confirmed. It was Ingtar at a What Mania Q&A session back in 2004. The question was, did Ingtar free Paden Fane in the Great Hunt, or was it someone else? Answer, it was Ingtar. Didn't expect a straight answer, did you? That's from RJ.
Yes, I
Was
forgot
this
about
after
Ingtar.
Piers
That's
had
true.
like a conference or something? Just like a wild comment. Like,
No,
Was it a What Mania Q&A?
oh, okay.
But that doesn't answer who wrote it in the blood on the wall.
Not Ingtar.
No.
No.
No. I still think it was just Trollocs.
One of the Trolloc scribes that happened to be coming along.
Well, I mean, it's called Trolloc script. So,
Yeah, but who taught
you know,
the
like,
Trollocs?
if the
Maybe
Trollocs
just one of their
aren't
teachers.
using it, who's using Trolloc script? You know, like, Trollocs are the ones that would use it, I would assume.
Maybe they can just
Well,
read
I've
it, but
got
they can't
greater
write it.
questions here. It's like, why do they need Trolloc script? I mean, do they sit and read books back home and like they have their
Training manuals.
their
How to
language dictionary and
They
Mother
need an
Pig
artistic
Trollocs
outlet.
like,
Yes.
you gotta write your words properly.
There's human genes in there somewhere, so they need an artistic outlet to balance them out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The-
I don't know.
cooking
I'm
of
still
humans.
thinking Fane has got the ability to do that nonsense.
Yeah, I'll probably say Fane.
I mean, he might.
I'm not buying this whole Trolloc stopped during this attack on Feldara to write some notes on the wall. No.
Not just some notes, but like it's
Yeah.
a number of paragraphs. It's a lot of prophecy. Yeah, so maybe it was fine. Okay, then we have a couple voice notes, and the first one is from Scott Wilson, and it goes like this.
Hi guys, Scott Wilson here. Had a quick question. Do you guys think that the problems with Sidar could be from Rand's cleansing of the source? In a couple of decades, are sisters going to start going mad? P.S. Mo, I didn't need to know about how the relationship between maids and ladies work. Lots of fluff to fill empty pages. Just like Billy said. Congratulations on 100 episodes. May you always find water and shade. Bye.
Huzzah.
Huzzah.
Another soldier for Billy's army, hey?
Well, it's. I mean, what do you want me to say?
I told you so.
Well, no, that's what I want to say, but I'm
That's
not.
that's what your body language says whenever I read one of these. But thanks, Scott, for the congratulations around 100 episodes. As you can hear, we are quite proud and quite stoked about that. Interesting thought about Sidar being affected by Rand's cleansing, but I don't think so. I mean, female channelers would have mentioned if they felt something like the taint on Sidar right now. And, you know, like we know from the strike at Shile Ghul how men were affected when it happened. You know, like as soon as the taint was applied, many went mad on the spot. Some others it took longer, but it was pretty quick and pretty decisive. Yeah, I think we can definitively say that Sidar is okay. The wards and things that are failing actually comes up in some of these chapters. I think Alviarin has some thoughts about the rats in the tower when she comes back in Jody's chapter. So we'll talk about it there. But yeah, it is weird that Sidar is failing, right? Like, that's pretty troubling. As for the ladies and maids, I can't even remember where that was. Was that in the Elenia Sarand chapter? Maybe with
No
Janny,
idea.
or what was her maid that for whom she buys dresses that was willing to take a shot? Could have been the new maid that Elaine has that's dressing her.
Everyone's got new old lady maids, new Linnies that's got to get a character announced and
I mean,
got to tell them to eat food and not be skinny and
drink their goat's milk.
Drink your goat's milk,
It
eat
is-
the cheese.
It is telling that we can point to one like batch of chapters and refer to two lady and maid relationships that were explained in those chapters.
It's not funny. It's tormenting.
No, it's fine. It's vegetables. Got to eat your vegetables. Okay, then we've got another voice note now from David.
On today's very special episode of Blood and Ashes, Egwene sits around and listens to a bunch of old women talk about bonding men. The Red Ajah has a secret meeting in the White Tower. to talk about bonding men. And Cadsuane spends a lot of time thinking and thawing about bonding men. All this and much more coming up to you now. Take it away, gentlemen.
Well, that is exactly how long we could make.
Not
this
wrong,
episode.
David.
It's true. It reminds me of Top Gear, when the good old days of Top Gear, the Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond days.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, when they started tonight on Top Gear, Richard drives a car fast. He rolls the car slowly. And, great summary. 10 seconds. Do I want to continue or not continue diving into the deepness?
Well, so 50% of the people who heard that just went, no, I don't want to continue. I'm going to go do something else with my life.
No, I don't want to. Tonight's episode sits around listening to sitters on chairs, stools.
Yeah, but there's also Shaidar Haran and Forsaken, and that interaction. I won't spoil it, but just to bring whatever listener was turned away by David's intro, the interaction between Alviarin and Elaida is chef's kiss. Hey,
I enjoyed
that
all
is
of these
good
chapters.
Same. There's good shit happening.
There was no Elaine, right? I've read them over 2 weeks. So.
Alviarin isn't worthy her position and titles. She is but
okay.
a
she's the head of the Black Ajah of the Supreme Council. So let's not stand on ceremony then. Let's plow through our recap so that we can get started on these fun chapters. And that recap goes like this. Previously on Blood and Ashes, Egwene and Gareth Bryan observe a pod of ships carrying food and reinforcements that make a dash for one of the two Tarvalon harbors. Gareth is recommending an attack on the tower as soon as possible, but Egwene does not want any Aes Sedai fighting each other, lest all hope for the tower and the world be lost in the process. She's cooking up her own scheme for making the harbors unusable and starving out the city, but she is not telling anyone about it yet. On the ride back to Camp, Delana requests an audience, and Egwene obliges her request for privacy by asking Sheriam to back off. Delana is pretty transparent in her attempts to sow chaos, first by speculating about Egwene bonding Bryan as her warder, which Egwene dismisses. Delana then warns Egwene not to trust the group of advisors she has set up, since they are almost certainly representing their Ajah heads who would likely put Egwene at odds with the Hall. And lastly, Delana mentions that some sisters are talking about opening negotiations with the tower. At this last one, Egwene calls over her advisors and has Delana repeat the idea. They're all up in arms except for Bianin, who thinks this could be a good idea. She is a Grey after all. Egwene gives her permission since it relates to Elaida and therefore the war, over which Egwene has complete autonomy to make decisions, and the sisters are in a tizzy. Even Delana didn't think Egwene would immediately accept it as a possibility, and then immediately starts freaking out about what a successful negotiation would mean for the Shadow, and specifically for her as a Black Ajah sister that prompted Egwene. As the Black Ajah sister that prompted Egwene. But our favorite innkeeper's daughter has very set terms she will accept and not budge on. Elaida will need to retire as an Aes Sedai and go into exile. She knows Elaida won't negotiate, but the Tower Hall might entertain the idea. Back at camp, Egwene drops in on the tent where women are learning how to make Quaindiar. Here she learns that some sisters and novices are learning how to do it, but not nearly fast enough for her plans. After Egwene herself, the next most adept are Leanne, Kyron Stang on Matt's sister Bode, but all are leagues behind Egwene in that regard. She also learns that Nicola is faking foretellings and snooping around, generally making a nuisance of herself just so she can learn faster and be promoted. She makes her way back to her tent known as the Amelin Study and finds Swan and Halima there. She sends Halima away grumbling and immediately starts suffering from an oncoming headache thanks to Halima. Swan tells Egwene about her trip to the tower in Talaranriad, where she learned that the tower has also promoted a number of sitters who do not seem to make sense, just like they have in the rebel camp. She also delivers reports from the various Eyes and Ears networks that she, Leanne, and the individual Ajahs manage until Anaya, Morven, and Morel drop in to announce that Akaran and her group have returned from Shadow Logoth and want to present their discoveries before the Hall. Egwene heads over to the hall and waits for Sheriam to announce her. She eventually arrives looking very flustered. In the hall, Akaran gives her report from Shadow Logoth, noting the vast amounts of sardine they sense there. The sisters discuss the fact that their current circles will not be powerful enough to withstand a weapon like this, thinking the presence of sardine must mean the machinations of the Forsaken. Moria suggests opening up negotiations with the Black Tower to include men in their linked circles so they can increase their own firepower. This sends the hall into a tizzy, but Egwene speaks over them all and forces them to make a decision. It takes a while, but eventually they vote to open negotiations with the Black Tower. Egwene asks an unprecedented question. Does this decision make any of the sitters want to step down. And that brings us to our first chapter for this episode, which is chapter 20, called In the Night. Vil, what goes bump in the night?
Mr. Bumpy goes bump in the night.
Children, go to bed.
Do you remember Mr. Bumpy? Did you guys watch that cartoon? It was like a plasticine show where they had a little water
Rings a
monster.
bell.
He was a water monster or a sock monster under the bed, and the towel he was, the face cloth was a character.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Bumpy. He goes bump in the
Okay.
night.
That sounds
No,
terrifying.
what goes on in the night? The night is dark and full of terrors. No,
It
wait,
is.
wrong book. This one.
Next podcast.
Egwene goes on in the night. No, point of view. Egwene. We are in sore butt situation. No headache. So her aches has moved from the top part to the bottom part, where she's sitting on a stool, and the location is Camp Siege. We haven't given it a name yet, so I thought Camp Siege would be appropriate. And it's the hall, tent of the hall, whatever you want to call it. Any which way, there's a lot of formal and informal and out of formalities and debates about the topic that was earlier raised about sending an embassy to the Black Tower. Many people have many opinions of who should be involved, who should not be involved. Do we need healers in this? No. Why should he heal? Anyway, you can imagine that these ladies are having a great old time debating this. Now, when they went into this meeting, wasn't it morning?
It was midday. The sun was like midway through the sky when the party from Shadow Logoth returned and they were summoned to the hall.
All right.
All those previous chapters we had read was just like the morning up until noon.
Yeah.
So they've been sitting there since.
Now it's darkness. It's in the night. That's why the chapter.
That's why her butt's so sore.
Her butt's so long time sitting. Anyway, when they depart, Shiriam is told that she can also have her keeping roles. What is retired for the evening? I'm trying to find some other words that's not working well. Anyway, Halima is not required at the moment because there's no headache tonight. And hopefully there'll be no bad dreams, because still have the first readers picked up to the continuous pointing out of obvious things through the writing in this chapter. Positive, not negative. Good chapter.
You like these books, remember?
I like these books. Shiriam is relieved. She's going because it was a tough day for her as well. Nothing's playing in her cards, aren't playing right at the moment. All right. We have a room description for her quarters, 10 quarters, distance, measurements from how far the men are away from tents. I mean, it's a lot of details. And waiting for Egwene as she gets into that room that's so very flowery described. We've got Chaser, who's like a scolding nanny granny that tells her she's not been eating, and if you ask me, your headaches come from not eating. And I'm like, whoa, Chaser, absolutely 100% on the mark. Should get this girl to eat, get her blood sugar up, maybe the headaches go away, and also maybe follow that other gut instinct that you have about Halima, and force that down Egwene's throat a bit more. Anyway, Egwene replies to Chaser, thank you, mother, after all of her gliding. And then Chaser is somewhat abashed at it, like, oh goodness, I've treated the mother like a daughter. Anyway, the tea, did it work? Because we remember she had very foul tea before. Now the tea could not have worked at all. It may have just made her more sore bum, but Halima not being around definitely helped the headaches go away. All right, Egwene eats her dinner, includes a couple of weevils. She thinks of it as sesame seeds just to get through it mentally. Weevils taste fine. I used to have them in my oats. It doesn't
I
really
have a
bother
question
me.
about weevils. Do you have to remove them? If you eat weevils, do you get sick? Like, why? I don't understand.
I mean-
like, oh my god, there's weevils. I mean, so?
I'd be like, okay, maybe it's because their poo's in there,
Maybe there's like waste
weevil
and stuff.
poo. And then they also
Do you-
spin and make like webs. They go through phases. Like it becomes if you have a box of oatmeal. I remember the Tiger Oats comes in that box back home back in the day, and then you like to eat it in winter, and then you go through a whole summer, and there's a half a box, and you get to the winter again, and you're like, oh man, I feel like oats, and you open that thing up, and you look inside, and you go like, it's the scene from Alien when they go in a tunnel, and
It's like
the
Weevil Las Vegas in there.
yeah. It's a party, and that's what I imagine. They're buying. They got to sift half the shit in weevils, so it's like half weight. They'll deal with this.
So they go through phase. Oh,
as
those are
well.
things that turn into moths, like tiny little moths.
No, those are pantry
Caterpillars.
moths. Those tiny ones,
Yeah.
and I don't know what their other state looks like.
I do. They're in my oats right now.
Oh no.
That's why I'm
Such
asking.
The dark one is.
That's why
red.
you're so into asking.
I'm like,
about
I need
eating
to know
weevils
about
and
these
what
things
that
in my
means.
oats right now. In my oats, in my flour, they're everywhere, man.
I can tell you from someone who has had pantry moths before.
Yes.
Just burn your kitchen and rebuild a new one.
I just installed this.
He just did that.
It's only like 8 months old.
Then
no,
I'm pretty sure it's under warranty.
You got to just not if you purposefully burn it because there's moths in it. No, I think the last time I did this, just had to like throw everything away and just start fresh. All right.
Well,
Back to your story.
but I mean, I'm having a good conversation now.
All right, this is
kind
much
of
more
lifting.
interesting.
Okay, still no halima.
All right. Halima.
Still, what is that cheese? Halloumi. Still no halloumi. At the door, and Egwene readies for bed, and she's happy, and she asks, she's like almost drifting asleep. Well, she had dinner. She also had dops with dinner, but only had one drink instead of two because she wants to go do some work in her sleep now. So she just doesn't want to like cup out and be completely gone. But she asks Chaser why her opinion of Halima is so strong, and she tells her what she should feel like. She's a man. She is a man. Anyway,
She doesn't say that.
She rubs it the wrong way.
no, she doesn't say that, but it's what I read.
No one has a clue. She's
Chaser
like a beautiful
knows.
woman.
Chaser feels it.
They know there's something wrong with her. Swan said in the previous episode, like she felt like at one point Halima was about to hit her, and then like someone else walked into the room or something, and that she'd heard a story about her like breaking a wagon driver's arm or something. Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
but they're not anywhere close to like imagining that she's a man.
Anyway, we move on. Chaser leaves Egwene to sleep. No Halima, empty cot, and it's all great sleep time. We are in the world of dreams, and insert description of everything we know about the world of dreams. She finds the star that is Elaine's dream, wakes her up, doesn't look inside. Avoid sexy time dreams flying through the sky with Gawain and all the rest. We learn all those nice things again. And then she goes to the assigned meeting place after she whispered the words of wake up, time for meeting. Avienda arrives, not Elaine. She's questioned why. She's got problems with the Dream Terangriel because she's got the babes issue at the moment. Babes getting in the way of channeling, which is news to Egwene that there is more than one. And there's still a lot of rumors, even on that end of the field, around these babes. Rand's babes, is it Ram's babes? How could she allow this anyway? Opinions are aplenty of this young, unmarried, pregnant woman from the mother of the tower now. News about Rand and Nynaeve. What was the news from Rand and Nynaeve? I just felt like I wrote it as if I was gonna. She wants to know if there's any news from the two of them. There's not much that is known at the moment, other than this channeling event that happened.
But they don't know that's got anything to do with Rand and Nynaeve, right?
No, I'm trying to. I didn't make a decent note here. Sorry. All news shared with. Okay, so Avienda is update. Egwene updates Avienda with the news around the hall and the decision making that they have to go through, and the sitting that they were just through with the embassy to the Black Tower. And Avienda, and this all stems from the channeling event. The channeling event that made everyone believe that the Forsaken has a weapon, and a weapon of an immense power, which drove them obviously to the linking with Ashaman, why the embassy is going and why they need to do this is all preparation for needing to counteract a weapon that isn't there. Avienda then, and I say Avienda with small writing like you do a squared writing, the wise, because she puts on the Avienda wise one hat at that moment, and Garb also appears in that manner. And she starts actually questioning Egwene as a wise one would, with his comments about saying, well, what if this is not a weapon? And Egwene has inner monologue comments about her being a wise one, yada, yada, yada. But there is a moment of being realistic for Egwene. And but needing to deal with Ashaman needs to happen.
Just remember, Avienda and Elaine both actually know that Rand was involved in that thing and that he survived it. So they remember they were Sumiko or someone said, "Oh, either something terrible or wonderful has happened today," and Elaine was like, "Something wonderful because it's done and Rand is still alive. We can still sense it."
Mazrantine is discussed. He is a very dangerous man. There is still warnings and fears around him. Maz is on the run, isn't he?
No? From whom?
He's not on the run.
He's still running the Black Tower, giving his lessons to his chosen.
Only his lot. Sorry, yes. The other ones. Who was the on the
Logain.
list now? No, not Logain.
Oh, you mean Narishma and Flynn and
Narishma and those lot.
Yeah,
the Shiva.
The Shiva's dead. Because he's was Agenor, killed by his own Elza Penfell. We read about those guys that are on the run, Narishma and Flynn and those guys in these chapters.
They're not on the run.
Yes.
They're not with the Black Tower. That's why they bonded these sisters, because Rand had left them.
Yeah.
After the attack on Kyrian, on the Sun Palace, Rand just left them there. And they were a bit adrift. So they're not on the run because people are chasing them down. But their names are on the traitors list at the Black Tower. So if Ashaman encounter them, they are obliged to kill them back.
Deserters list.
Bring their head back.
To be precise.
That's the one.
Yeah. To be pedantic.
All right.
Oh, was it deserters list? I mean,
100%. I was writing.
This was an attack on.
And I was like,
Okay,
traders list. I don't know. Is it a traders list? I looked at the book and I was like, oh, deserters list. So yes, another little tangent I went down on my own yesterday.
Cool, yeah. So we do read about those guys now, soon.
We do.
Anyway, back to Egwene and Avienda and Dreamland. The talk goes to Seafolk. When the talk goes to Seafolk, Avienda changes garb all the way to full maiden, buckler, spears, everything in hand. Yep. That's the feeling around the Seafolk. It's well shared among all of us. Not much to take further to this meeting, and it's greetings and it's sleep time and normal dream time. We have a lot of dreams for Egwene.
Quote unquote normal dream.
Normal dreams, quote unquote. First, she swings by Gawain's dream for some sexy time. Then she has some snow trudging dreams and pushing rocks uphill. Then we've got some mat dreams with tenpin bowling people to death. All of that prophetic, obviously.
Knowing glare from Willie, for those who are just listening. Everyone
Mountain edge dreams of smooth walking up about Shaunshan help dreams. She's hanging by her fingers. Beautiful mountain trails spiraling up to flat, smooth tops with ravens and lamp oils catching fire, and an Seanchan attack on the tower to her is all of a sudden imminent. Anyway, she wakes up to Halima returning, which she is sort of just hears her like, oh, asleep, and murmurs on, and she decides don't want to hear about her rumpus that night or her murders that night. She's just going to keep on sleeping. She gets ready, and Egwene falls asleep again. We wake up in the morning, as we do in normal worlds as well. Jaisa, breakfast. Please eat. Make sure you are well fed. Dress time. Nassau arrives and needs to speak to Egwene quite urgently. So much so that she does not even ask permission to weave a eavesdropping board, and drops the news about Anaya and her warder, who has been found dead. The men believe it is mushrooms because it's the apparent look of suffocation in the face, but residue testing has confirmed that they were killed with saidin. Dun dun dun, and all thoughts go back to the Ashaman again. We are Ashamanning all the way, but it is not. It is Halima. He's a man.
That's Halloumi.
It's my girl's favorite joke at the moment. What did the cheese say to itself in the mirror? Hello, me.
Oh no.
That's awesome.
I'm not telling my daughter that one.
Yeah, I had forgotten most of that early part of that chapter. My focus was pretty much on the dreams mostly. So Joe, did you have any notes or anything you wanted to share about?
No, I forgot about
What
that
happened
chapter
there?
completely. Like I started reading it 2 weeks ago. No idea. No, that you've mentioned it, Willie, and you ran through it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Do you not see the pattern here? Like it was so boring that you couldn't retain the memory for longer than 2 weeks.
No, I can't retain memories of anything for longer than 2 weeks.
Terrible.
I know.
All right. If you guys are done complaining about how boring
Rattle
this chapter is, should I rattle off my notes?
You go.
Okay. I like the fact that Egwene is not just a puppet, but a puppet master when she's walking away from the hall, smiling as Lelaine and Ramanda walk away arguing, which, is not unusual for them to be arguing, but they never are in each other's company by choice. And now they are actually choosing to be in each other's company. And it's because of that whole big thing about like whether they should be bonding Ashaman or not, right? And Egwene is just walking away, smirking, like, yeah, you guys thought you were running the show. Now go, figure this out between yourselves.
Go do my bidding.
But then, yes, I also got really sad to read that Egwene has, quote, bone-deep sadness about what has become of Eamon's Field. Like when she looks at Tel'aran'rhiod and Eamon's Field in the World of Dreams, she has seen like how the town has grown and everything, and she feels a bone-deep sadness. Oh, that's pretty sad.
Yeah, well, she wasn't there. Perrin was there, and things had to change.
Yeah.
I mean, shit happened.
I mean, a lot of people came there to come hide out in the protective embrace of Lord Perrin Goldeneyes. I had a laugh at Elaine's temper. Willie, you mentioned that Avienda said Elaine couldn't use the stone ring Tarangril. Apparently, she threw it on the ground and jumped on it. Like that's how pissed off she got. Like comically angry. Egwene thinks to herself, surely Elaine had the best midwife in Camelin. Even better, an Aiel wise one with 7 children of her own. And also Sumiko, an arguably better healer in some ways than even Nynaeve, yes, and 3 husbands for... Is it Monel? Was her name? Callback, yeah. Just stepped in it. Egwene thinks none of her dreams had showed her anything useful so far. we've had like books and books worth of Egwene's dreams. We're like, oh yeah, cool, this is this. I mean, she is constantly getting useful stuff, but she just doesn't know how to interpret it yet. She doesn't know what they mean. Like many of these dreams that she had, yeah. She thinks to herself that an illuminator was working her craft with a traveling show that Elaine and Nynaeve had traveled with for a time. Yeah, the exact same one that you have seen in dreams with Matt, and the dream about like knocking over the skittles and all that stuff. It's all linked. The Seanchan woman, Vil, I think you would not have read about what that actually signifies, because it happens in A Memory of Light. At one point, Egwene, or at that point,
I figured
she's
it
called
was Iggy through the
Iggy,
description.
who at that point is
offering
called
her help.
Laelwyn Shipless. She effectively becomes Egwene's, or not effectively, I think she literally bonds her as a warder, and is protecting her at the very, very end of the story. Like, Egwene is there. Then Anaya is the one that got killed by Halima. That's a high-profile Aes Sedai that was part of the Saladar Six. We've read about her since book 2. She was helping the girls. She was always really friendly. When they arrived at the tower the first time, she was accompanying them. She was a friend of Moiraine's. I dare say we'll read about her in A New Spring when we cover that soon. So that was, a lot of people die in these stories, but that Anaya one actually stung. Like I was, oh, okay.
And she went out
that's one of
off
the good
page and didn't put up a fight, couldn't do anything.
No.
Like that's
Did they say, Phil, that they think that the water, like someone channeled like a wall of air around his head? Yes, so he would suffocate. Yeah.
Just, I mean, that's
rough.
rough. That's how they. Oh no, I don't want to talk about this. Let's not upset more people.
Positive. Keep it positive.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the last Airbender series. The Avatar, the last Airbender.
I've watched some of it. Yeah.
And there's a second series, the Korra. She's the second Avatar after that. Anyway, there's a scene there where one of the bad guys learns how to bend air, and he does the exact same thing. He puts like a bubble of air around people's heads and sucks all the air out of their lungs and kills them like that.
Oh no!
Jeez. Like, so if you want to see it visually, yeah,
it's there.
It exists. Zahir is his name.
Do you guys remember why it would have been Anaya specifically that was killed by Halima?
No.
I was so hoping that you were going to tell us.
I am.
Not even kidding. Like, I was going to go like, should I go and spend? And I was like, time for it.
No, Mo will do it. Anaya was really good friends with Cabriana Macandes, who is the Aes Sedai with the warder that were tortured to death by Cimarag when she meets Shaidar Haran the first time. And I think, one of the first times we meet him as well. But Halima's whole alibi, the reason she's in the camp, is that she used to be a companion of Cabriana Macandes. And there are two Aes Sedai that knew Cabriana well enough that could discredit that story. Exactly. And Anaya is one of them. And the other one is Kyron Stang, who happens to be one of the Aes Sedai that is most adept at creating Quaindiar that we read about in the previous episode when Egwene was in the tent. So Kyron and Anaya and Cabriana were super, super close when they were novices and even as Aes Sedai. Like they were really, really tight. So yeah, Halima has just killed someone that could expose her story as bullshit.
So Kyron's days are numbers as well. Days are numbered.
I mean,
keep an eye on her.
Again, we're a spoiler cast, but yes, I think in the next episode she dies. she dies soon. Okay, so any other notes, or should we move along?
No.
Okay, let's forge ahead to chapter 21, called A Mark. Joe, who is the Mark in this little swindle?
It's everyone's favorite keeper, Alviarin. Check Verdi's face just light up. She's back from whatever shit fuckery she was up to on Tremelking and other places. She was traveling. Yeah, well, she has been traveling. She's traveled right back into the lower levels of the tower, traveling with a capital T, under the library to remain unnoticed after being away for almost a month. She's missed a lot, and it's going to catch up with her pretty soon. Man, there's a lot of dust down there. There's so much talk of dust. She should clean it, but she doesn't. You know why? Because she's a dirty girl. So, She also sees rats running around. More evidence of these wardings that are failing, Moritz. I didn't go too deep into that. I just thought it was a nice little comparison. For she too is a rat in the halls, having entered the tower in a way she shouldn't have been able to.
I think she has a thought to herself, Joe, that it is not something that Mesaana has said she is responsible for. So she thinks like, why it's not, doesn't seem to be through direct intervention. We've been talking about it a lot, especially when we said the wardings were failing in the siege camp, which is close to Tavalon. Is it part of the same sort of thing? Was the Black Ajah acting? But yeah, Alviarin herself is saying the rats thing, that's not really something that even Mesaana has admitted to doing or said anything about. So she's not convinced it's anything more than, for some reason, the wards are just not working anymore.
Dark One's touch, obviously, but is this... Are you suggesting it's tower-centric? Like just because they're close to the tower? Or was this happening in Saladar as well?
We were saying it in our previous episode because the comment was made about weevils and stuff in the food now during the siege. I can't remember if there was any such consideration in Saladar. But as we get deeper into these books, like the whole fabric of reality starts unraveling, right? So there's a lot of weirdness. And this is just the start of it.
Okay. Well, she starts sneaking up the levels, being the sneaky rat that she is, hoping to remain unseen as long as possible, but is spotted almost instantaneously as she passes through the library. She's heading straight to Elaida's study, Elaida, to check on her pet, to make sure she did her homework while she was away, and remind her who's in charge. She's got all these grandiose plans. So like I say, she's immediately spotted by Zamail. She's one of the Sea Folk sisters. One of the few that there are, and librarian in the 13th depository, and makes up some story about just wanting to have like a walk in the library because it's it's relaxing and everything. Zamail understands this desire to walk around the peaceful library in these sad times, especially sad for you, Alviarin. Elvi's like, yes, sad for me. Why? What now? But she just plays it down. I'm like, I know what you're talking about. She briefly considers killing her. Zamail, that is, but then notices the other Sea Folk sister, Aiden, nearby. So close, guys. We almost got to witness a Sea Folk person dying, but alas, it's not going to be. The other Sea Folk sister is Nyan, and the three of them are all librarians in the 13th depository. And then I went on another little tangent. So I wonder about these three, because they are keeping their channel a secret, the Sea Folk. They don't tell. They don't give a shit what the White Tower thinks. So they're sending these very, very weak channelers very sporadically to the tower. So are they also gathering dirt on the tower and like reporting back to the mistress of the ships? Are they spies? Like they're in the 13th depository specifically. They know all the secret histories of the tower. And they don't give a shit about the tower. Their whole thing is like, fuck you guys. We'll do what we want. So I'm wondering if they because
it's a long con because Alviarin thinks here that like they've never been back to the Isles of the Sea Folk. They've never even been to the water or anything. Like they are Aes Sedai that stay at the tower. So even the other Aes Sedai are traveling closer to the sea. And like how the Sea Folk were sort of married to the sea and like didn't want to be on land for any time that they didn't have to be. So like if they are spies, this is like a lifetime commitment.
I mean, all Aes Sedai have eyes and ears. So they wouldn't have to go and deliver any messages by themselves. Just roll up a little scroll that they found in one of the libraries and hand it to a maid to go run it off to the mistress of the ships. I mean, I don't think we ever hear about anything like that. It's not like right at the end of the book, surprise, we know all your secrets. No. I just thought that'd be cool. Or maybe they just, the complete opposite. They're just so angry with being taken away from the sea that they refuse to leave the tower. And who knows? There's so many possibilities, Moritz. Could write a whole book about it.
To write some fanfic.
Can we really not write any more about the
whole
Sea
fanfic
Folk?
series about the Sea Folk? And this is our chance to make it interesting, Willie. No, silence.
No.
So, anyway, back to our favorite person, Alviarin. She's out into the hall now with servants running around, but few Aes Sedai. The halls are empty, as is the case nowadays. So up she goes to Elaida's study, 4,000 steps up, wishing for something that Mesaana told her about from the Age of Legends called a lift. She was like, I wish I had one of those now. Dude, Alviarin, yeah, they are awesome. I can attest to that. Mesaana has told her quite a few Age of Legends wonders, and she's very keen to get her hands on some of them. And I'm just also, again, wondering how much of that was just bullshit. Like telling her, like, she doesn't know. Oh, there's things that make you fly and whatever.
Just messing with her.
Just messing with her. Like, some stuff true, and there's some stuff utter bullshit. So she enters Elaida's study. Waiting room, to find it empty, which is normal. She sees some papers lying on the desk. She thinks she'll need to punish Elaida about some of those for no reason. Tosses her cloak over the chair and enters Elaida's study unannounced, like she owns the fucking place, and walks straight into a hard case of shut the fuck up. Elaida is in a meeting with Suwana, head of the Yellow Ajah, Docene. She's yellow. I'm just going to get run through. And Black Ajah Hunter, if you recall, because I didn't. I had to go and Google all of this stuff. She's one of our old black. Yeah. Ferain, first reasoner of the White Ajah. Andaya, a grey. Yukiri, our other Black Ajah Hunter, and also a grey. Siobhan, a brown. And all three green sitters. Talene, Black Ajah, uncovered by these other two Black Ajah Hunters, as you recall. Rena and Rubinde, or Rubindai, however. Elaida orders Alviarin to stand over there and be quiet until I have time for you. And she's like, blah, 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 gobbledygook. The boldness shocks Elvi into a stunned silence, and she just like freezes in place. So, like, when did Elaida grow a pair? She thinks to herself. Those were her exact thoughts, word for word. Elaida has to like slap the desktop and threaten private penance with the mistress of the novices in front of everybody until Alviarin like snaps out of it and goes like, okay. She goes and over to the dunce corner, and her mind is now like racing. Like she's angry as well. Like, how dare this woman talk to me like that? She has so much dirt on her that she could bring her down with a word. You're like, I can destroy you, Elaida. What are you thinking? But also afraid. Like, what happened while I was away? Did Elaida discover that I'm Black Ajah? Like so many secrets.
What does she have?
What does she have on me? Like, oh shit. Like, so anger, fear. These lead to the dark side. Oh. Side note: yesterday I went to watch the Return of the Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, in cinemas, 20th anniversary. Man, Star Wars movies in the cinema are the best. What do you mean?
Even
why?
bad ones?
This is the best since the original trilogy. I would say out of the 6 movies that have come out, this is the best one. All right, that's a conversation for another podcast. So the conversation continues among the other Aes Sedai in the room, and Alviarin learns in this moment that they are discussing the possibility of negotiating with the rebel Aes Sedai. Alviarin missed the whole thing. She didn't even know they were under siege. She's like, wait, what? The rebels can travel? Like, all this information is coming out. So she's in so much shit now. So there go all her plans. She's like, oh shit. Maybe she can pray to the Dark Lord for salvation? Lol. She doesn't do salvation.
That's
only
not how it
punishment. And you should know that. And you'll soon find out for yourself. So the sitters are arguing for a peaceful resolution, and they all support talks, basically. So they can't afford a battle. Tom and Guidon is like so close. It's on our doorstep. The Dragon Reborn is missing. We find out as well. We trick in with it later. He's not missing. So they must be united. They can't have any of the split tower. Like, you know, the rebels are saying the same thing. Everybody's saying the same thing. We can't be together, but we can't be apart. It's a tricky situation. Elaida agrees to let them start talks. This is a very Amerinly thing going around lately. But she has 2 non-negotiable edicts. 1, the Blue Ajah no longer exists, will never exist ever again. Number 2, every sister who follows that child Egwene must serve a penance before being readmitted to any Ajah. So, yeah, these negotiations are not going to work from either side. Egwene's also like, no, Elaida must be, retire and fuck off. That's my edict. So they both have edicts that will never be agreed upon. Meeting over, she kicks them out to deal with Alviarin. She's like, all right, fine. Negotiation, these 2 conditions, goodbye. Elvi hardly waits for the door to close behind them before getting right back to trying to control and manipulate Elaida. She's like, this changes nothing. Think clearly. Remember, Dumai's Wells was a fucking issue. The sisters you sent to the Black Tower, Like, they can bring you down. Like, these events that you messed up on, you need me. Yeah, the old you need me. Elaida calmly replies that she is surprised that Alviarin returned at all, really. Has she been hiding in the city? Because it's like, how could you have gotten back through the siege? So you're trying to tell me you've been hiding in the city for a month. No one's been able to find you. Elaida's, like, while talking to this, Elaida's slowly walking over towards her. And what does she have to fear from this coward of a keeper who was not at her post when the tower was besieged? You know, the rumors of Kyrian about sisters swearing fealty to Rand have already been blamed on Koirin that she sent over there. Like, everybody in the hall has already been discussing it. Yeah, there's a lot you missed in this month. Like, we're already on top of it. They all blame her, not me. The Black Tower fiasco will be blamed on Toveen. I mean, surely she should have ascertained the real number of Ashaman before attacking them, right? Oops, no. So your threats are slap and shielded, like mid-sentence. Oh, I love it. You're my bitch now, and you are going to take 10 penances for every one that you made me take. And, by the way, give me your shawl. Rips the shawl off her shoulders, too. Can't have a keeper that's not around. Already been decided in the hall while you were missing or hiding somewhere in the city. All of this has been decided. You can fuck off, basically, you know? And once that she has all the evidence she needs, she's going to charge her with treason as well, because I don't know what you're up to exactly, but it's not good, and it's not going to end well for you. So, off she fucks, straight back to her apartments to whip out her most prized possession, a Ta'angriel from the Age of Legends that Mesaana had given her. It's a fancy panic button, really, I thought. And she calls Mesaana, pushing the button. Click, 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 click. Help, help, help. Sits down. I love this while she's waiting. She's sitting with her hands between her knees, just like rocking, like, like a terrified child. And Mesaana arrives, and Alviarin straight to her knees in a heartburn. Subliminal messaging there. Heartbeat on her knees where she belongs. And Mesaana's immediately like, what do you want? First, like, immediately, I'm not helping you get the Keeper's stole back. Like, already knows. How does she know? You don't need to know. You don't need it to do what I want you to do. It's just going to be a bit harder. Like, it would have been easier if you were the Keeper, but you can still follow my orders. Just have to work a little harder. And you can consider the penances that are going to come now from this as a little punishment from me as well. Alviarin tells Mesaana that Elaida knows she's Black Ajah. She's like, this is why I called you. Like, the jig is up. I'm busted. We have to get out of here. She must have someone investigating. True, correct assumption. And that puts all of them in danger. All of the Black Ajah. So she's just like reaching at straws. Like, if she knows about me, she might know about other people. She's just trying everything in her power to get herself out of trouble. And Mesaana sees through it and calls bullshit. I know what you're trying to do. Elaida doesn't even really believe the Black Ajah exists some mornings, you know. So from day to day, she's unsure. She's not 100% sure. So you're just trying to save your skin. Time for some personal punishment, I think, from me while we're talking about punishment. So she stretches and raises up her hand, and there goes the Weevo Prepepo. And before Mesaana can get out, get to the fun part of torturing Alviarin, the room lurches into darkness. And when Elvi looks up, she sees Mesaana in her true form. Her face, and I quote, tantalizingly familiar. Went on a little thing just to try and clarify why, and it is because she's been posing as a brown sister called Danelle, and she chose Danelle because they actually look very much alike. She was using a mask of mirrors, but it was only a slight change, which is why her face looks tantalizingly familiar, because she kind of looks like Danelle. And she chose Danelle because of the appearance, similar appearance, and also no friends. Danelle was a loner, and no one would have noticed.
Convenience.
Tortured her, got all the information out of her, backstory time, and then killed her and took her place with just a slight little mask of mirrors to make her look exactly like Danelle. So a familiar face she recognizes, and also a terrified face, because in the room is Shaidar Haran. He's in his house. He speaks to Mesaana, and when Elvi notices him, she shits her pants, scrabbling across the floor like a backwards crab. Just freaking out until she banks and bumps into the table leg. to get in terror to get away from this gigantic fade. She instinctively reaches for the source to find it is gone. Even more fear. Yes, there's no channeling around Shaidar. He doesn't put up with that shit. Shaidar Haran doesn't want Alviarin dead yet because she can still be useful, and he needs the Black Ajah. I want you to be helping me out here. I need those Black Ajah. They super handy. Making up 1/3 of all the Aes Sedai on planet Earth is very handy.
It's not the ratio.
It is the ratio. We've done the math. 30%.
20%.
Yeah, I'd definitely say give it to him.
It's all of them. Mesaana doesn't seem to know him very well. Shaidar Haran, this is. I don't think they've met in person. This might be the first time.
Might be.
Because, she's seen some fades, but not a fade like this. And she's like, who the hell do you think you are to come and challenge me? I'm one of the chosen. And he's like, do you think...
Mesaana would have met him, but Mesaana was too filled with self-importance about arriving at meetings.
I don't know if there was a scene of her going to the pit of doom.
She was supposed to be there. She wasn't there.
Not North Shaidar Haran with Moradin.
Yeah. But Shaidar Haran
that's the meeting where
he walks down with... Who was he walking with? Grendel?
Shaidar Haran has met with Moghedien.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Chal Ghul and met him there. He's appeared to Semirog. We actually mentioned that earlier when she was torturing Cabriana Macandes. Shaidar Haran was there when Agenor and Belthamel are resurrected in their new bodies. When they're Osangar and Arangar, he's there to give them their message. Let's see. We never read about him in Samael or Ravine. Demandred, we haven't read about in ages. Just Demandred mentioned in one of his inner monologues, like maybe in that meeting with Moradin where Mesaana was supposed to be. So the whole reason Shaidar Haran is here is because Mesaana didn't come to that meeting and didn't participate in the battle at Shadow Logoth. But yeah, I think the only ones we've seen and read with Forsaken on the same page as Shaidar Haran are those ones we just listed out.
So anyway, he's here because she's surprised to see him. So he replies to her, like, she's like, who the fuck do you think you are? And he's like, well, do you think Hand of the Shadow is just a name? His voice booming, and while he's saying it, growing in size, like an evil Gandalf. Did you also picture that? Like Gandalf? No? Nobody else?
No.
Now it's in your head.
Gandalf, no.
Do not take me for some conjurer of tricks. Remember that scene?
I haven't seen the movies in
decades.
decades.
I watch the movies like every couple of months. Anyway, so he just grows larger and larger, kind of like looming in the room until his head's brushing against the roof, like Gandalf in the Hobbits. Anyway, in the Hobbit Hall. Yeah, so, but like an evil one. And he says, yeah, I'm here because of what Morris just said. Yes, you were summoned. And you did not. You did not come. I forgot about the meeting. I just thought he was like, you were summoned to that cleansing scenario there. You were supposed to come and fight, but you did not. So it's black fire torture time for you. So wraps her up in black flames, burns her clothes away, and I don't know. It's not looking good for her. He turns to Alviarin. No. This is not her day.
Real bad.
He asks Alviarin, like, would you like to know why one of the chosen is being punished? Would you like to watch? And she's like, nope, I'm cool. He's like, good answer. That was the correct answer. You passed the test. So he flows or slithers or whatever he does over to Alviarin and puts his finger onto her forehead and burns a magic mark into it, which is what we talked about right at the beginning. She is now marked as his, and Mesaana will not hurt her. Unless, of course, he tells her to. So, like, anyway, you're just marked. You're not your day either. So she gets her orders straight from the Dark One himself now. You will uncover who is hunting my Black Ajah dolls, pets, whatever I call them, and you will deliver that person to me. Now, does he mean deliver them personally, like bring them to me? Or like deliver their souls by killing them? I don't know what he means by deliver.
All of the above.
Kill them, dead or alive, whatever. That's what's happening. So he turns to Mesaana, all still tied up with black flames, and tells Alviarin to leave now if she wants to live. So she does. She does want to live, and she does want to leave. and she takes off at a rate of knots. Outside in the hallway, she touches her forehead. There's no visible mark. She feels like it should have burnt, but there's nothing there. So she wipes all the sweat and tears and snot from her face and starts planning to carry out her orders. So earlier, during the discussion in Eleida's study, Alviarin had noticed Talene glancing at Yukiri and Dosine during the questioning, and she wondered, what's all that about? Because as first Black Ajah mistress, what is she called? Chief questioner? What's her position?
I don't know. She's what is it? Supreme Council?
Keeper
She's
of the Dark Articles.
Supreme Chancellor of the Republic.
I'll look it up.
Of
You
the
keep looking.
Empire. Yeah, whatever. That one. That's her. So as she knows, of course, all the Black Ajah people. So she knows Talene is black, and she noticed that little interchange, and she's like, well, that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with Talene. Uh-oh. That's not good. And that's how the chapter ends. Not good for our Black Ajah hunters, that is. Or Talene,
Good to clear the record and eliminate mouths who can speak by killing them with death.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah. We wouldn't want them spilling the beans on you.
It just says online, Joe, that it's just the head of the Black Ajah and the Supreme Council.
She's just that. She doesn't have a fancy
Just
name.
The head. No.
It
Oh,
is.
that's a bummer.
It is there. It is so fancy. You might have picked it up. I mumbled it earlier, but it's not important. Climb the ranks and you can get there, young Padawan.
Billy, you don't know what it is? You've never heard it through your black friend?
He's not allowed to say it.
Dark connections. Dark friend. That's the word I'm looking for. Black friend.
Phil, did you have any notes or anything you wanted to toss in there?
I mean, come on. This is actually a juicy chapter. I was quite surprised that it was a mine. I think not surprised. I think you separate me from my true love. You know, when there's kick-ass dark stuff.
Just imagine for a second what a Black Ajah or Dark Friend chapter summary from Willie will sound like. It will all be
flowery and descriptive.
Vaguely related, but put in such a light that it is almost the opposite of what was intended.
It'll be in Trolloc speech. No one will understand it.
That is true. No, this chapter, Alviarin getting her comeuppance for having the audacity to take a month holiday while shit's going down. I mean, there's plans, there's work to be done. There's an Althor boy to catch. There's whole heaps of shit that needs to happen, and people that are in power needs to be in place. And
she was in
decided
Tremelking, overseeing a mass suicide. I wonder what role she played in that. She the one that mixed the Kool-Aid.
Maybe. Also, didn't she get slapped? Didn't Elaida slap her?
Elaida didn't slap her. She PK'd her.
I said slap
she
and shielded.
Sneaked up.
Oh.
No one listens to me.
I thought slap was just slapping on the shield.
No.
Yeah,
Shielded.
And shielded.
Because she sees stars. It takes her a moment to realize what has actually happened. Yeah,
yep, that's a PK.
That's good.
As Philly would say.
Shaidar Haran is kick-ass.
He's
very badass.
Cool. He is so badass. Like, firstly, tempting her, like, hey, do you want to see me punish one of my chosen? Have a little look. And also, when he leaves the room and marked her, how he drops off his armor, like it just falls off him, and then
and he's wearing real armor,
like clanging real armor.
Yeah, it's not like an illusion or something.
Yeah, it's kick-ass. That's so cool.
And underneath that, he's wearing human skin leather. Because she's like, that leather looks weird. It's like, what is it made out of? Kind of implying that it's made out of human skin.
It puts the
there's a
lotion
precedent
on its skin.
One of the Elfin or Elfin also wore leather that looked to be made of human.
That's where he got the idea from. But I think they didn't dye it black like he did. Yeah.
Or did they get
this
the
was
idea
white,
from
I think.
Shaidar?
Oh, maybe.
What else, Phil?
No, not much there. I mean, it's like there's a topsy-turvy, two bad apples going at each other. You can only take enjoyment about the pain that's inflicted from the one onto the other. But at the end of the day, they both need to get booted out the tower so that we can move on with better storylines.
Okay.
In book 11.
Okay, I've got a couple. You guys have covered the majority of the big ticket things, so I'll just sift through the minor weevils of nuggets.
The lesser weevils.
The lesser weevils, the babies.
How do you choose the lesser weevil?
Master and Commander.
The lesser of two weevils.
the lesser of two weevils.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, me too. My first comment is after the chapter's called a mark. I'm like, oh man, marks are never good, especially paired with the Black Ajah chapter icon. It's like, okay, this is going to end badly for someone. Alviarin thinks to herself about a way that Mesaana has hinted at being able to hide a weave, but hasn't taught her, and that's inverting, right? Like that. What
I would imagine.
can our girls do that already? I think they learned that from Gideon. I think when they do disguises and stuff, they invert them as well, so that people can't tell. Yeah, Jody, you covered all of this stuff.
Oh, Mesaana's got another weave to hide how strong she is in the power, because she is almost as strong as a female channeler can be.
Yes.
So
she's
she
one
had
of
to like
the very strong.
make herself seem weaker in the tower. Otherwise people are like, holy shit,
that's right.
Jolene, what happened to you?
And wasn't she also appearing to Alviarin in like a weird, like a silvery, like like an inhuman sort of illusion? And then when Shaidar Haran appears, and they can't even sense the true source, right? It's not even like they're shielded or anything. They can't even sense it at all in his presence. It goes away, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else did I have here? A couple notes on, Zemail, the sea folk, Aes Sedai. She wasn't accepted in the White Tower during the Aiel War, and when Gitara Moroso had her foretelling about the Dragon Reborn. So I'm interested to see if we read about her in A New Spring. So remember, sea folk Aes Sedai, Zemail. Moiraine suspects that she was, for some reason, deliberately holding back, which she was. She took care not to learn too quickly in order to avoid notice. Is this a sea folk thing or a Zemail thing? Like, remember the weirdness with the sea folk about like Talan, right? Who was extremely adept, but was purposefully being held back and treated and punished for doing well at things anyway. Like the sea folk have this weird relationship with success and like being sort of
No,
too
but
big
that
for
is
your boots,
also
sort of
because her whatever it was relation was the one judging, and that's why it was so super strict on
yes,
her.
yeah, true. Yes.
So I don't think that's so much, because when the sea folk sister bit came up for me, I was like, okay, so they know that the sea folk can channel. Okay, then you're like, okay, no, there might just be
That there
this
are channelers
one.
among
There are
them.
channelers everywhere. Just unknown that there's such a channeling
Every
part
ship.
of there.
Yes.
Maybe that's why Zemail was hiding it, because she already knew how to do some channeling, because they were teaching her in the Seafolk Isles.
Maybe.
When
To
they-
show,
like,
to
she
hide
had-
the fact that she already had some knowledge from home. Yeah.
Exactly. This might
So is
That
her
makes sense,
dropping
yeah.
in on there just to say that, oh, there's eyes and ear for you. There's a little birdie whisperer, a little spy. They're everywhere.
Huh?
What?
The what now?
She's obviously a spy, isn't she?
Oh, that's...
Well, we were saying before, that's a cool theory we have, but we don't know that she's obviously a spy. We know that the sea folk have to send some low-level channelers to the tower periodically, just to keep the Aes Sedai from coming to them to come find all their
Set
channelers
bay.
that they have.
Yes.
Exactly. So they are basically sacrificing some. So if they can get some information from them, like Jody's fanfic would suggest, that would be a cool
fact.
outcome. Okay. But yeah, I don't know that we know that Zemail was a spy. She, like the other Sea Folk sisters, kept to herself. All the Sea Folk sisters became Browns and lived on the top level of the library. So, Joe, maybe that does speak to some
It's
intent.
very suspicious.
Like others, Zemail never put a foot wrong. She abandoned all her sea folk jewelry and stayed away from the sea, which is just part of the subterfuge, right? If she was trying to maintain ties, of course she would be the perfect little subservient now tower initiate.
Just throwing kindling on the fire here.
Apparently, she made friends with an Aes Sedai called Aisling Noon during their studies, and like Zemail, Aisling was also from a heritage that was unusual at the White Tower, being Tuatha'an.
Oh, yeah.
A Tinker Aes Sedai.
Well,
Keep your eyes out for these names in New Spring.
We'll have a lick.
What was her name, the tinker?
Aisling Noon, so the Irish spelling of Aisling, Aisling. Aisling. Yeah.
Roger that.
Okay, so then Joe, yes, I was also just like talking about Yukiri, who is a green sitter, and there were the two other sitters that she should have looked to for authority or like permission to speak or like sort of for guidance. But like you said, she was looking at Yukiri and Dosin. I'm sorry, that's Talene. Did I say Yukiri was the green? It's Talene. Because like you said, she's been outed as a Black Ajah sister already and has had now sworn on the oath rod to obey Dosin and Yukiri. Andaya is a grey sitter and, as you would expect, is the one arguing for negotiations with the rebels. So they already know that the rebels have rediscovered traveling. Remember, Egwene was making a big deal about don't even let them know that we have it. They know. It's probably why there are rumors of Gareth Bryan just appearing in the tower, reaching the siege camp. It doesn't seem like Biernan has reached out to them yet. This is their own council, but for the same reason. So Biernan, in her capacity as the lead negotiator now for the rebels, they don't mention here that the rebels have reached out. Their own greys within the tower said, we need to negotiate, and they're busy preparing just a mirror of what is happening in the siege camp. Was my read, right? Because they don't. I specifically went to go see.
All right. I just assumed Dosin had already reached out. Dosin? What names were you using?
Biernan.
Biernan, that's it. I already assumed
Yes.
Biernan. Dosin is a name, but not the person I'm looking for.
Because they don't say anything about their terms either, right? So this is now... they're besieged, and the grey sitter for the grey are just saying, we should negotiate. No one's surprised.
Not a surprise, yeah. All right.
Yes, yeah.
That makes sense.
Then... Is it Alviarin that mentions Mesaana having previously spoken to her about something called the standing flows, which allowed people in the Age of Legends, people that couldn't channel, to use certain Terangriel that need the one power to work. So like complete non-channelers could use these Terangriel with these standing flows, which is, you would imagine it's like a Wi-Fi mesh or something, like just one power there for you to use.
No, it's electrical powered. They just had handheld devices that plugged into the wall, and they could go like, haha, look at this, I can mix my dough and cake batter faster now. What?
It's magic.
Using their Kenwood chef. Mixing up bread
Stand
dough,
mixers.
putting on an oven in a house.
That's what they use the
Take
standing
the elevator up and down.
Standing flows are for the stand mixers.
Yes, exactly.
Alviarin thinks of Shaidar Haran as a lurk, which is a Terran term for Mudral, but Alviarin is from Amadisia, which is interesting.
She's well travelled.
She is. And then, my last point was just like, here we see the repercussions of Mesaana not attending the meeting with Moradin. It's from Demandred's point of view when Moradin comes in with the rat that he sets on fire. And
That awesome
you remember that whole thing? Yeah.
Yes.
Where, Grandel is sort of like making Demandred think like, it's maybe not a great idea for Rand to cleanse the source, because then, the Dark One might not trust you to be loyal to him anymore because you don't need him to protect you from the tent, blah, blah, all that sort of stuff. At the beginning of that meeting, Demandred is thinking to himself, Mesaana has not been coming to meetings, and because he and Mesaana and Semirag have a sort of uneasy alliance, the three of them, that they would at least not come for each other before the others are dead, which is about as good a deal as you can imagine for the
That's
Forsaken.
amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, that is it from me. So let's push on then to chapter 22, called One Answer. And this time I will be the one to answer the call for a summary.
Go for it.
You can't do your own segue into.
Well, who's going to do it, Willie?
I just did it.
Hey, Mo, do
amazing.
you have an answer for us on this chapter?
I do.
Thanks, Phil.
All right. My first note is, hooray, Pevara. I find myself excited to read about a Red Ajah sister for once.
Only Red Ajah sister I have any respect for.
The only one. So we join Pevara's point of view as she dismisses and accepted from her room so she can have a private discussion with Tarna Feir, Elaida's new keeper. Pevara is wary of Tarna. So you remember Tarna Feir is the Red Ajah sister that came to Saladar, tried to convince Elaine and Nynaeve to come back with her and, join the right side of the battle, blah, blah, blah. But Pevara is wary of Tarna, even though they're both Reds. Just because Elaida trusts her doesn't mean anything, since Elaida used to trust Galena Casban as well, and she turned out to be Black Ajah. Mm-hmm. So that discovery had really rocked Pevara, since Galena was also the head of the Red Ajah, right? So Pevara was like really, really betrayed by that. Pevara offers Tarna some wine to quote-unquote celebrate her being raised to keeper. So here we find out who Alviarin's replacement is. It is Tarna Feir. Since Tarna is now the keeper and not of any Ajah, Pevara knows she's being somewhat risky in visiting another Red in private. Tarna also seems to be a little on edge, literally sitting on the edge of her seat. Pevara has actually been rumored to say that she wants a warder. Best Red ever. Probably one of the reasons why Tarna came to her specifically with what she's going to raise here. So Tarna plays down the congratulations and makes it sound like Elaida insisted and that she could not refuse. The keeper is a vulnerable position to be in after Alviarin had caused everyone to be super mistrustful of the role, but Tarna quickly turns the conversation to Pevara, calling her unconventional and saying that she's heard that Pevara had even been known to say that she wouldn't mind a warder. Craziness for a Red, especially a sitter. Sitters don't tend to venture too far from the tower, so why would they even need a warder? And for a Red sitter, it's just super weird. She then gets philosophical and ponders out loud whether the Taveran nature of the Dragon Reborn could stretch so far as to alter all their lives and events around them. She goes on to recount some of her findings when she visited Saladar some books ago. She hadn't anticipated any kind of difficulty or success for that matter, but what she saw sent her rushing back to the tower directly, rather than going south to Ibudar and waiting for a ship. She rode many horses close to death because of her urgency. So, firstly, what did Tarna see in Saladar that made her fear for the tower? Was it Garrett's army?
Possibly. No, that's the only thing I can think of.
Because I think the army was like camped around the town, like she had to move through it or be at least aware of it to be able to get into the town. So
because
that was my thought.
Yeah, at that point, the tower didn't have an army. They had the tower guard. But that's like a city watch, I would imagine, not an army, not a standing army.
Yeah.
So she could see their intentions were pretty clear.
Yes.
Why else would you have an army?
And Gareth Bryn.
Yeah.
Gareth Bryn was there.
Yeah. That's not just a army of Mesaana followers, ragtag. No. It is a force to be reckoned with.
I think she would also have maybe been shocked by just how many sisters were there. 200 odd, like a number similar to how many were in the tower, were also gathered in one place with an army getting ready for something, that probably unsettled her quite a bit. So this is what she's talking about. Could the Dragon Reborn's Tavernus be changing, events so far away from him that it affects her? Because ordinarily what she would do is she would just travel back south down to Ibudar, wait for a ship, take the ship along the ocean, and then go up the River Erin and all the way back up to Tarvalon. But what she saw there was like, no, I need to go as fast as possible. Rode a bunch of horses to death directly north. And it's on this trip back north that she encountered a recruiting party from the Black Tower. 6 men in black cloaks openly asking men to join the Dragon Reborn and asking who would like to, quote-unquote, wield the lightnings. She figures if the Black Tower can spare 6 men to go to a small town in Marandi to recruit, they have grown too powerful to manage. Pevara offers that Elaida still wants to gentle them all, but Tarna is unconvinced. She thinks the only logical and practical solution is to let the Red Sisters bond them as warders. This is obviously the idea that she's been super nervous to share, and Pevara is shocked and asks if Tarna is suggesting they gentle them after they are bonded. But Tarna says no, that would be unwise. She merely thinks that the Reds are the best equipped to deal with male channelers, and Pevara decides to share with her the note that she was given by her agents in Cairn, but which was originally sent by Tovin, who we mentioned before was the leader of that party of sisters at the Black Tower. So this is a message from Tovin at the Black Tower. When Tarna reads it, she's not shocked. We don't see the contents of the letter, but when Tarna reads it, she's not shocked. She reckons this changes nothing and makes her argument even stronger, to which Pevara replies, on the contrary, this changes everything. It changes the whole world. And that's how the chapter ends.
Mm-hmm. Quick one.
Yes, this is a
Nice
short
one.
one. Yeah.
It is.
It was nice
Cool.
because it was short. And they didn't have to explain too many things and maniacal, mechanical backgrounds. And
I'm glad to hear you say that, Will, because I was worried that you wouldn't enjoy this. Because, I mean, it is effectively also just a conversation. But you see, I mean, it's going to be quite a leap for Tower Sisters to start recruiting Ashaman as warders. Like we've seen, the sort of the Cadsuane posse of sisters that just, bonded Rand's little gang of Narishma and Flynn and those guys early days.
that's all coming, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's happened already.
I know, I mean, this whole finding out of the bonding, like this is now the whole
Yes.
bonding.
But this is Pevara, specifically of the Reds, and I mean for Tarna Feir to also say this as an ex-Red and now the Keeper, is pretty cool. Wonder how Elaida would take this advice from Tarna. She very specifically has not gone to Elaida with this, but has gone to Pevara. And like we said before, because Pevara had actually been known to say in the past that maybe she would like to have a warder. So Tarna's like, okay, how about that warder is an Ashaman? And for Pevara later, it is, yes, it's Androl, right?
But
like the guy that's super good at
that
weaving gateways.
Isn't Tovine captured by Logan?
Yes, Tovine has been bonded
Not
by Logan.
bonded, captured. I say sorry, captured, but captured, bonded.
Bonded, yeah.
Yeah.
And Gabriel is the other one.
Both of them are bonded to Logain, yeah. But in that direction, right? He's bonded them effectively as warders. They haven't bonded him as a warder. So what these guys are talking about is bonding a man. And what Androl and Pevara do is they bond each other. So the bond goes in both directions and they start being able to communicate telepathically because of it. Which is awesome. Fucking awesome.
Because there is a huge problem with communication in these books, so that would solve everything.
Very cool. Is there anything else you guys wanted to say about that chapter?
No, that is what I want to say about that chapter is that is how you want work meetings to be. Science,
to the point.
It was 12
To
minutes
the
on the
point.
Kindle. Yes, 12-minute meetings.
Yep.
Blam,
Just
blam,
a
blam, blam,
quarter, done, bang. Let's
Love
move
it.
on.
All
Point
right.
taken.
Well,
Tick in the paper.
let's move on to chapter 23 called Ornaments. Vil, can you distinguish the ornaments of value from this chapter of conversations?
I can. And I'm going to do it in a deftly way because, again, this is a set up chapter. We are in the point of view of Cadsuane, and we find out that after the battle, they have moved to Tyr, but not the city Tyr, because for the first time it has dawned on me that the city and the region carries the same name.
And the country.
The country even.
And yes, and I just for a moment I looked up at the map and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yes, it was Cadsuane's great idea that they move after the battle to there. There is a loyal manor house, a loyal man from the manor house that they are in, Alviarin, Pendaloner, whatever.
Pendaloner. Yes, him.
Pendilo, whatever.
Pendulum.
Anyway, within the borders of Tears. So the Varen is standing at the window supervising all kinds of activities that's happening around, not Varen, sorry, Cadsuane. Varen is on my mind because Varen enters the room quite shortly. There's drama with the sea folk, and Varen just does her brown thing. She rattles off all news, and Cadsuane is one-earing all this news. Don't worry, I'm not going to take you through that news because it is irrelevant. All right. As this carries on and Cadsuane has thoughts about it, Min barges in, who has clearly been over-listening at the door about the news that spread about the death that was coming for someone in the sea folks and yada, 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 yada. Anyway, which is Min's real reason for being there is then dragged out by Cadsuane, and she has come there at the behest of Sir Rand to summon Lady Cadsuane for high tea. And don't be snippy about it. Quite a little lost
He's not
stab
snippy.
there.
He's come a
No
long
one was
way in
snippy.
being very civil.
Min was just being a little snippy, I think. Anyway, Varen backs up for Min, going down the track of she's in love and blah 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 blah, some love talk, whatever. The situation we learn in Tier from Varen, who wants to carry on with her meetings as they now also decide to depart and move out to have said meeting with Rand, is that this can be all solved peaceful. And now this is the Darlin lords, nobles standing up against who's in charge at Tier, sort of overseeing. Darlin is, and who's the others outside the city?
Tadosian,
and those
Lady
dudes.
Estanda.
What was the other one?
Lord Astoral?
Yeah, those guys. They all.
He's an old guy, and he's inside the Stone of Tear with Darlin, so he supports Darlin.
Okay. Anyway,
he's come out of retirement. He's not the high seat of his house anymore, but he's very well respected.
Nisun joined up with them as they are now moving through an elaborate, ornately described manor house hallways. And Varen and Nisun just kind of like goes off on their own little snake talk tangent. And Cadsuane mentions like, these two people, two different areas, two different backgrounds, can't see eye to eye, but now they're talking animals and snakes from the waste or somewhere, wherever way it was. Hallway description. So I make these big blocks of where I just get lost in the boredom. Two sisters are on the route there, Baldine and Maurice. Maurice, no smiles, Maurice, and Baldine, they were having a chat about the bonding. Again, bonding, Ashman being brought up now for the 10th time or so, some whatever. Brings Cadsuane back to her in a monologue about her own ornaments. The ornaments is referenced, and the one buzzing in her hair at the moment, because there's a man that can channel close by, and with so many men that can channel now, so frequently available to her, she could actually figure out how these things work a lot better. Like more vibration for more of them, which wouldn't been a thing in the past because she might have only been in the company of one prior. Either which way, Jahar is referenced in this, and now we come to juicy bits. Look, I'm rubbing my hands. Lan. When last did we read about Lan with a practice sword?
Long time ago.
You remember how those samurais are made? Those practice blades, little laces all tied together. Anyway, when they strike, they crack like a whip. And as we see that Lan lands a critical hit on the man's rib cage, which stems from just a flowing movement. And Jahar is down on his knees and gets back up, and he tells his sister, "No, don't pick me up. I'll get up." And he readies himself for round 2, and we're back into Cadsuane's head. Asking about how's Daigyan going. Is she still sicking up? So we learn of the death of her warder, and she's going to be taking some pain, but not taking healing for it because there needs to be remembrance in there. Anyway, Maurice has been quite busy studying the intricacies of, we're going to just give them a name now, Usher warders, because she's got an Usher warder, there's Usher warders now all around.
Call them watermans.
It's hard to now keep track with all of this, But she goes down a path of like, okay, yes, feeling, well, yada, yada, yada. Cadsuane gets quite like upfront. Like, this is now water talk, but now it's getting like almost a little bit. You don't ask certain things about a warder to a sister. Certain things are just off topic. It's kind of like you don't ask your best mate about his wife. Shit like that.
Yeah, she says
indeed.
Maurice must be distracted or like preoccupied for her to be asking for advice about her warder from Cadsuane.
No, but
Maybe
Cats,
because Rand
yes,
is,
that
like,
that is
behind
there's
her,
two from both sides.
Tavirining the shit out of
Cadsuane
everything.
wants to ask about. So have you felt that but through linking that if the taint is clean, can you feel it? And the whole story of like it's so different, and as we've always learned. So there's a very unsure answer from Maurice, and as this happens, another critical hit from Lan. This time on the man's neck, I can't remember it. And then also Jahar again gets up and again readies himself, and one of his Usher Warder bros, are they half brothers?
Yes.
I don't know.
No,
Heckles
man,
him
like gym bros.
about like, yeah, just give up. Like Lan is gonna mandragoran you. But it carries on. Nynaeve is there supporting Lan, and she's got a side gig. She's learned from Matt, and she's seen what she has in Lan. So she goes to the practice yard, and then she starts taking bets with stupid odds against Lan, knowing that he's never going to lose. So she's just like screaming on support because she's got like a lot of payouts to do if Lan loses. Anyway, Cadsuane notices Nynaeve's jewelry, and it has now been noted by her that she's also got leveled up trinkets that she is also wearing all the time. And the question for Cadsuane there is whether it is trinkets that she's wearing because of Rand or the others, if they are also man channeling ability trinkets. Anyway, Maurice then pipes up that Jahar's growing stronger. Cadsuane's like, oh, stronger. Just got whipped like critical hit 3s in a row by Lan there. And at that moment, you hear the practice order again. And Jahar whimpering in the background. No. Then Cadsuane gets it. Like they're stronger in the power, comes in waves, completely different. And there's a lot of differentness in between Ashar borders and
Ashaman, any male channelers.
yeah, but we're dealing mostly with Ashar warders because they can plug into them now and understand a bit. So yes, we get it. Men that can channel are different. Maurice asks about the pin. Now this is warder questioning now going the other way. Advice from Cadsuane. He tells the whole story. Rand gave him Jahar the pin. He wants it back, but she wants him to kind of bend the knee to her because what should she do? And Cadsuane says, do whatever you please, I suppose.
It's the way it's stated is even grosser than that. It's that Narishma needs to learn not to accept anything unless it comes from me. I hate that. That's his dragon pin from Rand. He's a full Ashaman now.
Yes, but he's also a warder now. And
I don't like it.
And I want to flip it on the head and say, okay, in the instance where Logain have bonded Tovine, she should not accept anything unless it comes from Logain.
I mean,
their bonding is questionable as well. There's not a two-way. It's just so many questions.
This is even worse. There's an element of compulsion in Logain's bond on Tovine and Gabriel, right? So like it's even more vile than that. Even
a lot of questions about these Ashar warders.
Do we care really?
Gabriel is brown.
They went there looking for shit, and they found it.
Yeah, and they got it. Yeah.
Jahar was looking for help,
for love.
He was in he was lost. Rand deserted him. He can't go back to the Black Tower. I need help, guys. And what do? Treat him like this.
Hey, I also just realized, like, if Rand gives him his Ashaman pin, doesn't that sort of like, shouldn't that, if another Ashaman encountered him, absolve him of the deserters list?
Not
like,
if that
he's still
Ashaman
getting,
is loyal.
he's still
to
getting promoted.
Tahim.
Yeah, no, but they play fast and loose with the rules, right?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like
guy's-
him having the pin would be some level of protection from just immediately being executed by another.
No, but
Ashaman.
it's always in the early stages of setting up any sort of thing like this, whether it is a Black Tower or an animal farm. They tend to rewrite the rules as they go.
And as they need them to be.
Mm. Anyway, where was I?
Anyway,
They reach the door.
Yes.
The door of the young man. When Cadsuane refers to the young man, we obviously talk about Rand. Olivia is guarding the door with Elsa. Do you guys remember Elsa? Who's she?
mm-hmm.
She's
yes.
good Aes Sedai.
Just
Fiercely
Blackheart's sister.
dedicated to
Killed
Rand.
Agenor.
Fiercely dedicated to Rand. The two of them are guarding, and Elsa steps off like, I will check first, super secretary. And then Olivia in a Sean drawl says, she's eager to please a little bit, 200%. The little bit of talk about Olivia, and it gives again background and yada yada yada. Olivia has now been hanging out with Rand a lot, and there is information that stems from that just in a little bit. Now, is this Algarin is the manor house lord that leaves Rand there, and he wanted to be tested.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to be part of the fray. He just felt that it's time to.
He does get
level up.
tested.
Mm-hmm.
And
But he doesn't.
He does become an Ashaman.
Does he?
Does
Oh
he?
wow!
Yeah.
Because
Rad.
Is it the last battle? I mean, he has ego is fucking crazy. There's a whole story about him. I googled him. I didn't write it down, but
oh, I didn't. You're right.
Yeah.
Elsa has returned. Rand will see you now. Like the doctor is ready for you. So it's reminded me of like when you're sitting sick ass at the doctor's with your once or twice a year flu or cold. And if you're not Jethro, then you're always at the doctor's. Then you see the
not even
doctor
yet to
open the
defend
door
himself.
and walk out. The previous snotty person blowing tissues, and then nods to the receptionist, and then walks away. And then the receptionist gets up and walks around and goes like, "The doctor will see you now, Mr. Rasmus." Whatever. And then I'm like, couldn't he have just nodded at me? I'm sitting right here. Anyway. Absolutely not interesting story for what happens in being let in. Rand could have just opened the door and said, Cadsuane, come on in. Right. Cadsuane enters the room. Rand is looking wary. Yes, he would be. He did a really big thing. A lot of talking about the testing of Algarin. But the main point there was that Rand has been speaking to Olivia and about the Sean tactical approach to battles. The undefeated army. What are they? The never defeated army. What?
The ever victorious army.
Ever victorious army. Never
never
defeated.
defeated. Same thing.
Same thing. Different words. Like I remember words, not my more forte. The ever victorious army and all of that. And taking a lot out of that, like, is this a battle that's just going to be fought continuously? Because there's their tactic, like any good generals, go back, regroup, re-strategize, and hit the nail square on the head this time. You won't bend the nail. With this in progress, there's commotion at the door. Elsa wants to be super trooper, Rand protector. And no, you can't. And then Aes Sedai flood in, and it's just a flood of people announcing that they have returned. This warder, my Usher warder is back. My real warder is back.
Yeah, he's not an Usher warder.
No, just he's not an Usher. There's real warders, Usher warders, traveling warders. It's confusing at the moment, but we
Tinker warders. All kinds of warders.
No, it's Tinker Sisters. Tinker Sisters, Sea Folk Sisters, Usher Warders. Either way,
Anyway,
we
whole bunch of them.
have someone is returned. They've jumped, and then they jumped again, and then they jumped, and there's like he's no, he saw it's coming. There's news, and Rand is ready. Everyone's ready, and it's the end of the chapter. Someone has returned. There's news.
Because like 7 warders returned or something, or no, 7 sisters returned with a bunch of warders. Anyway, I got some notes about that. This guy Algarin takes his brother's name, Emarin. Emarin was a channeler who was gentled, and it's actually Cadsuane that helped him survive for like 10 years after he was gentled.
Oh wow!
So Algarin really has like a soft spot for Cadsuane. Probably why they stay.
Is that why they're here?
Yeah,
Right,
I think so.
I think that plays into
they
the
know each other.
backstory of why they, yes.
And he actually
Because-
he takes his brother's name, and then he hangs out with Androl and Pevara, and they in the last battle it's their group, their little
Awesome.
meeting, doing all kinds of cool shit, posing as dark friends to infiltrate places, and it's so much fun
man.
coming.
I'm so excited for
that. There are exciting parts in this book series, people. Just like hang on, bear with us.
The joyous thing about these chapters and this very character building period that we are going through in our life right now is that the people that's on the journey with us have chosen to go along with this journey again. They've been through it. They are going to play into my hands when I deliver my theory about what the purpose, because what is the purpose of this chapter? What is the purpose of this book? What is Robert trying to tell us? I think I might have the answer. We're almost there. I feel that I can relieve myself from this burden of producing a rock solid theory of why all of this is happening. But I'm there. I feel
Okay.
You
feel
there right
like-
now? You're going to tell us, or you're
no.
close?
I'm going to keep you on edge for a while. I'm going to keep
right.
you.
We've only got like 2 more podcasts on this book, or 3 more. What's it?
On
2
this
more
book,
after this, I
but
think.
not on the series. We've got heaps of
Oh,
time
right.
for me to, because remember, next book
crikey.
doesn't really start off. I mean, we got Newspring excitement, but
Oh,
when
it's
we
true,
go,
yeah.
we still kind of like the snow's melting, but the mud is formed. So one obstacle
Okay.
to the next.
Okay, Joe, you said you didn't have any more notes for that chapter, hey?
Only that Lan only rolls crits.
Yes.
It's always critical hits.
It's so
It's always a
good.
hit. Yeah.
And Nynaeve's sitting there like she's going, do this. Like you can see her mouth moving like, all right, now try on the left, like trying to give him silent advice. Like, woman, he knows what he's doing. He
knows
doesn't
what
tell
he's
you how to
doing.
channel.
he hasn't broken a sweat, and nourishment
No.
is like
Nourishment.
getting furious.
Jahar.
Jahar
He's on a
nourishment.
first name basis.
Oh, sorry. Bloody hell. Okay.
All these
thank
Is that
you.
why you think this? Is that why you think there's so many Usher Warders
Yes,
around?
because they use first
There's
names,
3.
then last names.
Yes,
three of
the
them.
Usherman use their last names. Like Rand calls him Narishma, but
But the Aes Sedai
Aes
call them by
Sedai
their
call
first
them-
name.
But
We spoke
there's a
about
point
this.
for them. Yes,
That
there's a
doesn't
point
make
for them
it
there.
confusing.
No, not at all.
Okay, I have like 5 notes here. High Lord Astoral is the lord that they've heard is sort of holed up with Darlin Cisnera in the Stone of Tyr. He seems like a good guy. He's a powerful noble that treats Aes Sedai with respect and seems genuinely pleased at meeting Rand when he eventually does. Treating Aes Sedai with respect is very weird for Terrans who are super anti-Aes Sedai in channeling. And he also seems to support Darlin, which is a good thing. Cadsuane mentions here Norla, who is the one that gave Cadsuane her paralysis net and taught her a bunch of cool stuff. She was that toothless old woman that while they're living in the Black Hills, that Cadsuane very early in her Aes Sedai career was sort of came across her and was humbled by her, and then learned a whole bunch of stuff from her, and then got this incredibly overpowered weapon in a paralysis net. Yeah, Lan, Maurice covered all this stuff. I was stoked to see Olivia doesn't see Cadsuane of Rand as one of Rand's enemies. Lucky for her, because to quote Cadsuane, Olivia had a short way with those she considered the boys' enemies. I bet.
know
Not
she had
someone you
any
want
other
to
ways.
cross. Okay, but that's it from me. So our final chapter for this episode is chapter 24, called A Strengthening Storm. Joe, please strengthen my argument that this book has some good stuff in it.
I don't know. We'll see. I did the notes, but don't recall what I wrote here. Let's see. We're back with Rand L. Thor, Lord of the Morning, he who comes with the dawn, sheep herder. They are all, and you'll see all, somewhere in Tyr. Yeah, we know where they're close to the spine of the world. We never spoke about this. So I was very confused where they were. But they're right on the border of Tyr, like northeast? Yes. Spine of the world. And it's raining, of course. And he's in bed with Min, of course. And Luz is also back, of course. But he's just an old friend now. Like, Rand's really getting to know him now. He's pretty cool with him. Ever since the cleansing, it's actually been a little bit different in his head with Luz. And he feels that they're becoming more and more the same person, which does actually happen. We see that later on. Yeah, so here's
doesn't his whole, like, the emergence of Luz Theron and stuff happened after massive channeling events? Like, he sort of became more and more prominent the more Rand channeled. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the just the two things happening in parallel anyway, or if the one is causality is not what, or what's this saying is not causation. Correlation is not
correlation
causation.
Is not causation. That's right.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's possibly what's happening here.
So, like, after the huge channeling event to cleanse Saidin, suddenly Luz Theron is back and seems more,
But is it not because Saidin is cleansed now?
Probably that's the main reason.
I don't know, because it shouldn't affect Luz. He's dead, or maybe his dead man madness is now gone because the source is cleansed.
Luz is not dead because he's Rand.
Yeah, we go. See, Billy's already zoned off. He's gone somewhere else.
I'm just here.
All right. It's cool,
keep
man.
going.
Stay there.
I'm not going to open old wounds. I'm not going to scratch at old scabs. I have moved on.
It's the best part of scabs. Anyway, Rand is thinking about Min and Avienda and Elaine. He's got some stuff on his mind and how he's going to handle that situation. Fuck, I don't know, bro. I'm glad I'm not you. You sort it out.
It is quite creepy that he's thinking about two other girls while he's lying with one in bed.
They said they're cool with it. It's not creepy. He
used
saying
to
like,
think
this
it was
is not
creepy
right,
until they
guys.
told him it isn't.
And they told him, no, it's cool. Let's all bond. We're all going to bond you. We're all cool with it. And he's like, well. But anyway, he's regretting that bonding now. He's like, this maybe wasn't such a good idea, especially since I'm going to die. How's this bond going to affect all of them when I die? Because it is written, I will die. We should never have bonded. They should never have bonded me. So Min was always, if you recall, very good at reading his mind and his mood. And now that she's bonded to him, she's basically psychic. She senses his melancholy and punches him in the ribs, the non-wounded side of his ribs, mind you. She's always very careful with that. And says, it's time to get out of bed and stop being a moody pants. And it's time to get to work. What is he going to do about these warders that have arrived? Because the news has spread now. Some stuff happened between these chapters. And these 8 Aes Sedai, there we go. I did write it down. It was 8 Aes Sedai that showed up with a whole bunch of warders that belonged to these other Aes Sedai that are here. And what is Cadsuane going to do about them? And he's like, shit, if I know what Cadsuane's going to do. I never know what that woman's going to do. And he's right. I don't know what she's going to do either. Davram Bashere, surprisingly, was one of the people to come along for this ride, traveling with the rest. He was also like, hey, man, because Rand just disappeared. So everybody's looking for Rand. And they figured, also, before I go there, Davram Bashere came along. Half a dozen Ashaman, more than half a dozen, so I'm going to say 7. I don't know why we didn't get a specific number. Showed up with Davram, and also Logain, fucking Ablar himself, in Ashaman black, both with sword and dragon pins. And I was reading this going, so what? We know this, but Rand doesn't know this. Rand didn't even know he was an Ashaman or that he was alive. He was gentle.
Good channel.
Yeah, exactly. He knew nothing about this. I had like a little moment of epiphany there. I was like, oh shit, yeah, this must be a huge surprise to Rand. The guy that before him said he was the Dragon Reborn is now back, and he's
one of them.
One of them, yeah, one of the many. So yeah, they both want to talk badly with Rand. They've got shit to say. Stuff has happened, dude. We have to talk. But of course, Rand is putting them off because he doesn't want to talk. It's much better just lying in bed with Min. Min tells him that Logain still has that aura of glory, stronger than ever. So he's not going anywhere. You should have a chat with him. But there's something dark in the aura of Bashere. So, like, she doesn't know what it is. But if he turns against Rand or he dies, there's going to be big troubles. This is very bad. You better take good care of Bashere. There's a light knock at the door, a scratch, if you will. And Min instinctively goes for her knives, which reminds Rand of Matt, which makes the colors swirl, which makes him see Matt sitting on a wagon, so we know he's on the move. He's on a wagon. And he thinks that to himself as well, like, this is also very different to the other images he sees, that blurry face of the man he can't quite make out. So in like 4 lines, we get a whole backstory of all the things that are going inside this crazy person's brain. So yeah, Moradin's face, the images of Matt, the colors swirling, blah, 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 blah. The scratchy person at the door is Elsa. Billy's favorite person. She has brought Loial with her. Hey, everybody, Loial is here. Everyone is, of course, super stoked to see Loial. Even Min. Min is the super stokest of all of them. She goes running out to meet him. So he's like, thank you, Elsa. Rand, this is. Dismisses Elsa. She gives him a tight look knowingly. She doesn't want to go anywhere. She wants to stay by him, but he's like, you can go now. So she goes. He reaches out to the One Power, tries to grab the source. He does so in private in his little room because, cleansing or no cleansing, he is still getting violently ill every time he does it. So he has to like hold on to like bed frames and chairs and bookcases and whatnot when he does it, and doubles over dry heaving, not that kind of dry heaving. Where he then moves on outside to go and say hello to Loial. Luz takes this opportunity while he is trying to reach out to the source to also grab the source away from Rand. And I remember reading about this a lot. Like every time now he tries the channel, Luz more and more
becomes
tries
worse.
to grab it. Yeah.
Yes.
He gets more proficient at it. But Rand manages to push him away this time. But it is getting harder to do. Luz, again, whispering his head, clean, so clean. Like, oh yeah, so good. Loving it. Maybe it's just because it's clean now he wants it. Previously, he was like, no, you can channel this shit. I don't want to touch it. But now he's like, yeah, give it to me. Rand then walks out of the rooms to join Loial and Min, and he wards the room against eavesdropping and ties it off so that he can release the One Power. There's a whole thing about him calling a ward a shield, because that's what Lews Therin used to call it. His words are becoming Lews Therin's words, his thoughts and his, the way of speaking. He's becoming all philosophical as well and poetic, which wasn't the way he was. So it's like the two personalities are merging, bleeding into each other. Loial, super stoked guy, very happy. He's like, hey man, Lord Elgarin has Ogier rooms, 6 Ogier rooms. Can you believe it? It's amazing. I can sleep in a proper bed. I don't have to lie all that. And he's looking at Rand's face during all this little tirade, and he's like, wait, we're not staying here. Oh, yeah. I better not get used to this bed. God damn it. Just as I find a place that has Ogier rooms, we've got to go. So they have a sit down and a chat. Some of Loial's books got wet because it's raining into here all the time. That's super important news. But Rand lets him carry on about it because it's like, hey, man, it's my friend, and he likes talking about books. So, And Loial during this conversation can see Rand's face. He's like, I'm getting to the point, I promise. Like, I'll give you pertinent information in a second. This is just the way Ogier roll. All right? Just got to put up with it. He's like, yeah, I know. So if you recall, Loial and Cauldron were traveling around closing waygates, and they've been traveling to all the steadings, trying to convince all the elders there to close the waygates. Some of which agreed. Others said, you're very young, go away. The old people that are much wiser will deal with this. And then other people said, we're not going to let you touch the waygates. We're not going to close them either, but we'll put some guards there just to make sure hundreds of thousands of, I was going to say orcs, Trollocs don't come streaming out. So it's like, I don't know. Most of them are closed, others are guarded, and there's a few people who told me just to bugger off. I'm a kid, I don't know what I'm talking about. I am only 90 after all. He didn't visit steading Shanghai for Aerith
Obviously,
reasons.
you didn't.
Yes. But he did hear that they will be hosting the Great Stump, an Entmoot, basically. This hasn't happened for 1,000 years. But nobody would tell him why they are meeting. I imagine it's something to do with the Dragon Reborn and the end of the world guy.
You'd have to think.
You would have to think. But he's sure someone will go there. He talked to all the other steadings, and someone from some steading is going to go there anyway to this Entmoot, this Great Stump, and they will tell them about the Waygates there. Anyway, like, was it his dad that's the head of the head of the steading? Yeah, he's like, he never liked having a Waygate right outside their steading anyway, so he'll probably be right on it. He'll be very much pleased to close that door permanently. Rand is now noticing how worn out Loial looks from the longing, and he suggests maybe it's time you take a rest, bro, and you go home anyway. And he's like, home, but my mother will be there, and Aerith, I am not going anywhere near those two. And Min questions Loial. Is like, look, I've seen you two together, and the way you talk about her, and you are obviously in love, and you want to marry. And he's like, yeah, I'm super keen to marry her, just not now. Like, I'm still very young, got to sow my oats, etc., etc. He wants to travel with Rand, and he wants to write his book.
He's not even 100
once he gets
yet.
married. Yeah. I mean, he's a spring chicken. He's got plenty of time to settle down and get married. If I recall correctly, Aerith isn't that kind of woman. Like, when he does marry her, she's like, yeah, let's go cruising and writing books and having adventures. And he's like, what?
I can't remember that.
I think so. Or I might just be inventing that.
You hope so.
Yeah, but I don't recall.
Is she and Elder Harmon and Loyal's mom, aren't they like away from home? Because they went out looking for him? Like Rand dropped them off in the Two Rivers the last week and read about them.
Yes, because she's on the way back walking because his mother is such a renowned walker and renowned speaker. Apparently, she's renowned for everything. She's just awesome. Yes. She's like Davrin Bashir's wife. What was her name again?
Dira?
Damn it.
Dira.
No. Anyway. So she is walking, but he doubts that she's back in steading Shanghai just yet, even though she is a marvelous walker. She's not that marvelous a walker, but she is on her way. But yeah, still, he's not going back there just in case she is already back. It's going to be no bueno. Because he'll get married against his will. It's time to talk to Bashere and Logain now. But before Loial leaves, he says to Rand he has to tell him something about the Aes Sedai that came with them. Before we do that, I need to tell you something. ... We never find out what it is. I'm lying, we do, in the very next sentence, because we jump to Cadsuane's point of view, where she is talking to Samitsu about these Ashaman bonded Aes Sedai. That's what he wanted to tell him. Like, I was like, ooh, I wonder what it is. Read for 20 seconds more and went, that's what it is.
Yes.
So no one told Samitsu outright that the Ashaman are bonded to the Aes Sedai, but to her she's like, look, I am Aes Sedai, I'm not stupid. I worked it all out. She's worked out about Toveen and Gabrel being bonded to Logain, and Gabrel is sleeping with him. Like, she knows it all. So no one said anything, but she's 100% correct about everything.
So she's specifically talking about the bonds that the Ashaman have put on the Aes Sedai, not the other way around. So the Ashaman aren't bonded, the Aes Sedai have been bonded.
Right. Yeah, there's lots of bonding going on in multiple directions.
Yes, in multiple directions.
So when she gets here is when she meets Cadsuane's cronies who have bonded Ashaman. So she didn't know about that.
Samitsu's been Cadsuane's creature from Kyrian days, right? Like,
so she knows about
Ashaman,
that. Okay.
She already knows about these guys. What she's talking about is now that Logain has arrived with Toveen and Gabrel, that she's onto them. Logain has bonded them. So this is a new thing, and that's why she's all up in arms about it.
Right. Of all the bonding.
All the bondage.
So much bondage going on here.
I'm surprised it's taken us that long to make that joke.
That's amazing. 100 episodes.
Well,
well, we were keeping it. This is what's special about this episode, Moritz. You were looking for something special about it.
This is the thing.
This is it. So Cadsuane is glad that she has this info now. She's like, oh, shot. This is very good because I'm going to return to Kyrian tomorrow to face Toveen and all of these other dudettes. And this brings Sumitsu's apologies for losing control of the Aes Sedai over there in Cairhien to Seychelles. Seychelles. Turns out it was Bashere who convinced Seychelles to turn the warders loose, to go find their Aes Sedai, to go find Rand, which led them straight here. I wonder if Bashere brings that up in his conversation with Rand. Cadsuane wants Sumitsu to go back to Cairhien anyway, to keep an eye on Seychelles. She's like, Cadsuane doesn't trust these dragon sworn sisters at all. Swearing fealty to the Dragon Reborn. It's craziness. And good thing too, as I think Seychelles was one of the Dumai's Well sisters who was stilled and then healed and now no longer bound by the 3 oaths.
Exactly.
And she's red. So,
oh boy.
Whoa, danger, danger, danger. Really good idea. Keep an eye on her. She's like, yeah, I know you're not, like, she's telling, I've already forgotten her name. Sumitsu, that, yeah, I realize you've lost control of the situation, you're not in charge anymore, but go over there, like,
just watch her.
Just keep an eye on her, and you report back to me. So
because Seychelles is also not sworn fealty to Rand, has she?
Yes, she has.
Has she? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
She's sworn fealty, stilled, I was reborn, unstilled, healed, and free of.
So she was, because she was stilled at Dumai's Wells. She was unstilled by Dharma Flynn, and then she swore fealty to Rand.
Yes.
So she doesn't have the 3 oaths, but she has sworn fealty to Rand.
Yeah. So as an Aes Sedai, that's crazy. Like some of the other Aes Sedai still have the 3 oaths and an oath to Rand, but she has, like some others that were stilled and healed, she has only 1 oath, and it's to Rand.
Yeah.
So yeah, a unique situation for her, and she's in charge in Cairhien at the moment
because she's the strongest there.
Wow.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more I realize she really needs someone to keep an eye on her.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. She's a big deal. So Sumitsu asks Cadsuane, why is she here in the ass end of the world? And she replies that Rand is here to do something very dangerous. He intends something very dangerous. And ... Back to Rand. Point of view. He's in a rage, which gives him +2 damage on attack rolls. He is telling Logain that bonding Aes Sedai has to stop now, because Rand has just found out, like, wait, shit, what? You're bonding Aes Sedai? He's not happy. He is in a shouting frenzy. He doesn't want war with the White Tower right now. And when they find out, all hell will break loose. He's like, you think... I mean, Elaida only wants 1 male channeler alive, and that's me. And only until the last battle is done. And then she probably wants to kill me too. What do you think she's going to do with you guys? You guys are very stupid. Like, Rand's got his coat off. He's got his sleeves rolled up. He's displaying his dragons. Just to remind Logain exactly who he's talking to here. Logain is unimpressed and asks if Rand is suggesting that they release the bonded Aes Sedai. Is this what you want? You're telling us to release them? And if so, do the Aes Sedai have to release Jahar, Narishma, Willie? Just so that you know who we're talking about here. And the others that they have bonded? And Rand's like, nah, shit's gone too far. There's no turning back now. But from now on, no more bonding, please. It stops right here. Bashere and Loial are also in the room during this tirade, and Logain is not happy that he's being dressed down in front of them. Loial's ears are vibrating off his head. He's so nervous. And Bashere's stroking his sword, just ready. Like, these two channelers, these male channelers are going bananas behind us. Loial, you and I better be ready in case all shit hits the fan. Logain explains that it was Taim who gave the order, and also spills the beans on the special training that the full Ashaman get. And this is where I learnt that, in fact, all of the full Ashaman are part of Taim's men. There are no other full Ashaman in that camp.
It's because
except
Taim
Logain
is not giving the pin to those who are not loyal to him. So it's not that there's any that couldn't be. It's just like he's keeping that aside for his
But
cabal.
I thought that, like we've read about, the Black Tower's been around a while, that others would have reached the dragon pin at some point, and then it's only after that he started with these private lessons, so that there might be a few like others like Logain, but they aren't.
Maybe. Yeah.
So.
Or they've been turned.
Maybe they were and they've been turned
Taim.
already. Yeah. That shit's probably already started, hey? Oh, yes. That Logain's the only one, and that the Ashaman with Rand have all been put on the deserters list. List. To be killed on sight, mind you. So I don't know whether the dragon pin will help them if they are met on the road. They're just to be killed.
How many are there now? Because, I mean, Fedwin Moore and Eben Hopwell have died, right? Moore regressed into a childlike state, and Hopwell died in the fight with, was it Sindane or Grendel? One of those, at the cleansing. Yeah. So it's Narishma and Flynn and anyone else?
I'm thinking it's just those two. Dharma
Flynn. See, this is why it's so confusing.
There's 4 of them to Willie.
It's like there's double the amount of Ashaman because of names, first names. Like, come on, man, don't do this to me.
I think there's only 2, eh?
I think there's only 2 left. So yeah, Willie, there's not that many to keep track of at all.
There's 2. All right.
Yeah.
4.
Dharma Flynn and Johanna Rishma are the only 2 left. But anyway, they are to be killed on sight if they are ever spotted. And he also lays down some hard truths for Rand here that if there was a Black Tower split, he would find that there are more Ashaman loyal to Taim than to the Dragon Reborn. They all know and respect Taim, while most of them have never even seen Rand in their lives before. You need to go back there. You need to go and sort this shit out. There's a big, big problem brewing here, and you need to confront Taim before it's too late. But Rand's like, no, pass. I've got bigger fish to fry. Taim will have to wait. And we'll come back to bite you in the ass. But anyway, Rand turns his attention to Bashere now. Why have you come to talk, kind man? Bashere tells him about the 2 men that ransacked his tent and attacked his wife, Dira, now I remember. He tells him about the letter that they had and how similar it was to the one found in Dobrain's hand. Both written in their own handwriting. It's like, if I didn't know any better, I would swear that I wrote that letter. And it was a letter saying that these men were here to pick up certain items for the Dragon Reborn. They figure someone is looking for the seals of the Dark One's prison, and that obviously Dobrain and Bashere would be the 2 most obvious people to be keeping seals safe for the Dragon Reborn. Obvious choices. And if Dark Friends want the seals, it can only mean that they want to break the seals and release the Dark One. This freaks Loial out. He's like, this is bad juju. We don't want this. He doesn't. He's like, Rand, I love you, man. You're my brother. But I don't think you're a match one-on-one for the Dark Lord himself. And Rand's like, oh, thanks for nothing, man. And you can see Logain in the background kind of looking Rand up and down, kind of measuring him as well, going, I don't think so either. I don't think if you had to fight the Dark One himself that you would stand a chance. At this point, Rand reminds Bashere of something that he once told him. If your enemy offers you 2 targets, you strike at a 3rd. Rand announces that he is sending them, these 3 in the room, Loial, Bashere, and Logain, to arrange a truce with the Seanchan. He cannot fight them and the Shadow at the same time. And no one's pleased. There is much shouting and talking over each other. Bad idea. End of point of view. Heading back over to a new point of view where we meet our old buddy Elza. Her warder, Feral, was one of those to have come looking for her with Bashere. He's a dark friend too, if you couldn't guess by his name. She's thinking... Elza is thinking about Fira, a white, who was taken prisoner at Dumai's Wells, swore fealty to Rand, and that Elza has recently discovered is also Black Ajah. She doesn't know if she can trust her at this moment or if she should kill her. I think that's just a general theme amongst all dark friends when they learn of another dark friend. Should I just murder you right now? I think is the best option. So, but she does know that anyone who threatens Rand needs to be killed. In fact, Fearin, your new mission while you're here is kill. Kill anybody that threatens the Dragon Reborn. And she can feel a jolt of pleasure through the bond. He does love a good old killing, this man. So they both need to protect Rand, as, of course, how can he defeat the Dark One at the last battle if he's not alive to be there? according to their dark prophecies.
Well, be defeated by the Dark One.
That's what. How can the Dark One defeat him? I'm using too many pronouns. And not enough proper nouns. I don't really know what the Dark One's name is.
Shaitan.
Shaitan. Yeah, but that just means Satan. What's his proper name? Doesn't he have a name?
Steve.
Like Bob? Yeah. His name's Michelle.
Danny.
He's French.
Danny the Dark One.
Danny the Dark One.
Your son's name is Danny. I forgot.
Indeed. It's a name I won't forget easily.
This is not the first reveal of Elsa's dark friendliness, so
No. I mean,
I think it's just a reminder
of her warder, because a lot of of Black Ajah sisters their warders are not aware, like they mask the bond sometimes.
No. And I wasn't saying that in response to you, Joe. That was just one of my notes.
No, we know that.
Because when I read it, I was like, "Oh, is this a big reveal that Elsa has a dark friend?" But no, you already know from her her inner monologue when she attacks at Shadow Logoth. She attacks Agenor, not specifically him, but she thinks that the Chosen will have to understand that this is part of what I have to do.
Yeah, we've discussed this before, I'm sure.
Oh, we have, but I mean, we know the whole story.
Yes.
So I'm just saying this is written like a big reveal, but it isn't.
No,
just a reminder.
It was revealed before. Yeah.
It's also, this is the reveal of what Bashere was talking about in the prologue when he sends off his man to say, that guy that came around and made that offer, tell him we're in, but there'll be more of us than we originally said. It was Logain. We've also discussed that since then, but this is now the culmination of that. So we've read about that in the prologue. And the darkness that Min sees around Bashere is probably related to the fact that during the final battle, he is put under compulsion by Grendel and is giving bung orders to everyone and causing casualties left, right, and center. So, he does turn on Rand, like Min suspects. Like she thinks, like, if he ever turns on you, it will be bad. So just keep an eye on him, because he does.
Right.
It's out of his control, but it does happen, and Min's seen it. Vil, do you have anything you wanted to add in there?
No, thank you. I mean, it's feeling that we're moving in a better direction, but I feel that
any direction.
That chapter was the reveal. Like it's the big reveal of the source is clean. There hasn't been a reveal yet, and it's been literally downplayed. Like it doesn't deserve.
I think it's mentioned once by someone wwho recounts the Ashaman saying it's cleaner. Like one of the Aes Sedai was thinking that the Ashaman had said that. Maybe even one of the Aes Sedai with Perrin that like Grady and Neild had said it's clean now or something like that. But we haven't seen.
This is really the chapter where
from an Ashaman.
We back with Rand. This should have been like more than what it was. I feel like missed opportunity.
Can't please some people.
There's that scene where Logain's measuring Rand up as like a one-on-one fight with the Dark One. Rand's thinking to himself, like, screw you, bro. I cleansed the source. But he says that it's like must have happened off page, that Logain doesn't believe that Rand cleansed the source. And Rand's like, what do you think happened? That the creator just decided to meddle after 3,000 years, one day was bored and just cleansed the source for you? It was me. And like Logain's like, nah, I don't think it was you. You couldn't have done that.
They have an interesting relationship, those two. But Logain is super, super powerful as well. Hey, like I'm pretty sure it's at this estate, and we won't find out, and I won't do a callback until we cover it in the story. But I'm pretty sure it's at this estate where there's a big Trolloc attack, and Rand standing at a window frame or something, and he chucks all those death gates and like the fire arrows and all those like Age of Legend weaves out there. Yeah. And I think Lews Therin sort of does grab the one power from him and actually wrests control from Rand. But Logain looks at the weaves and then he immediately starts copying them. And he's also casting like huge amounts of death gates and stuff out there, which is awesome.
I remember that scene. That's one of the few scenes I remember my entire life, because Rand is holding onto the window frame so he doesn't collapse with all his strength. And he's just channeling insanity. And Logain is like, you've been holding back on us. Have you been keeping these weaves secret for yourself? Like, why didn't I know about this crazy shit that you could do? Yeah. Wow, I think it must be here. gotta be
It's
some
on an
excitement
estate
as well.
somewhere, so it must be here.
Yes. I thought
And-
it was
and I mean,
up in the borderlands, but I could be very much mistaken quite easily.
No, it's. I think it is. I think it is on a tear. It's 99% going to be this estate, and it's also. I remember being in quite close proximity to meeting with Tuon or Semirog in disguise, and the attack on Rand happening, and him like losing his hand. Like a lot of that stuff is about to happen. I feel like
Well,
that also
I was
happens
just
on
thinking,
this
like,
estate.
how did all those Trollocs get there into Tyr? But there is Stenning Shanghai is right next door, and there's a waygate there. So it could very well be, they could come through that waygate. Because Loial says we haven't spoken to them yet about closing the waygate.
There we go. Yeah.
Right.
Time
So
will
someone
tell.
found out that Rand is in Tyr and sends a Trolloc. One of the Forsaken know that he's here.
Semirog. Because Rand reaches out because he wants to meet with the Shawnchan, right? So the guys here go and they arrange a meeting. Semirog is posing as Tuon. So she has access to all the Trollocs she needs.
So we don't even have to read the books. Right? We just divine everything
I wonder
ourselves.
how much of this is accurate.
Doesn't matter. I'm having a great time. It's fine.
Yeah.
He was keeping quiet because then I don't get corrected when we are surmising in a call out, like a call back later. Oh, you were surmising and you were thinking this and this, but that's actually not right. It was done by his first name, not his second name.
Yes.
All right. Well, then let's keep things simple. Vil, did you pick a favorite moment?
Yes, I did. And very
Excellent.
much out of Jody's chapter, the last one. Because for me, this is a very big moment. And the only thing that really plays into that moment is this one throwaway line. Clean, loose, Theron whispered. Pure and clean again.
It's not a whisper.
But yeah, I wonder if that's like you guys were saying before. I wonder if that is the reason that he's so eager to grab it from Rand now, because it is
It's
clean.
like, oh, yes, no more madness.
I should be the one occupying this body. I should be in charge here.
I know way more than this fucking sheep herder. Yeah.
How about you, Joe?
I, uncharacteristically, first of all, remember to pick a famous moment.
Who even are you?
favorite moment.
And then pick the wrong one.
You should. Yes. It might be because my favorite moment is actually throwing a bone to Elaida. It's Alviarin's dressing down, like Alviarin getting what's coming to her. But I mean, if I have to choose between Elaida and the head of the Black Ajah, I have to choose Elaida. So yeah, this is the one time I'll be throwing Elaida a bone, is when she slaps and shields that. I have terrible words that I'll keep to myself. Yes, that's my favorite moment.
Nice. It is so like it's excruciatingly close to mine, Joe. It was almost the exact same thing. Mine is just like from the Alviarin side of that same exchange. I just loved seeing Alviarin sort of surprised and completely shaken. The slap and the shielding and all that stuff sort of came after. But the specific quote I had from the story is, the rebels knew how to travel. They were at Tarvalon already, and these fools wanted to talk. She could see carefully laid plans, carefully arranged designs evaporating like mist in a summer sun. Perhaps the Dark Lord would listen if she prayed very hard.
No, it's not.
No.
No, it doesn't work like that. You're on your own. Take your cyanide pill and move along.
My honorable mention, Joe, is Elaida slapping her. Ha ha.
Yeah, mine was all of that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite moment. Everything you said, everything
Yeah.
came before it, everything came after it. He's
it's
marked
so
by the
good,
Dark
hey?
One now. Now he's got his eye on you. Like, literally, the Dark One himself is watching you. You're not some nameless, faceless dark friend in the multitudes.
No. I had one more honorable mention, which was just Bashere and Logain arriving at the Terran estate. Like, Billy, you sort of alluded to this as well. Like, things are starting to look like they might move ahead now. Like, pace might start picking up. The events might be a bit more consequential, or at least more action oriented and bigger on the grand scale of things. So, let's hope. To our listeners, please send us your thoughts and theories, your questions, your corrections, or just say hi. You can do that by going to bloodandashespodcast.com, where you can leave a text note or a voice note that we can play on the show, just like Scott's from earlier in the episode. There are links to our social media accounts in the episode description below, so feel free to reach out to us that way as well. And when you've done all of that and bought a t-shirt from our online store, you can reach out for Crossroads of Twilight once more to prepare for next time on Blood and Ashes, our penultimate episode for Crossroads of Twilight, where we will cover 4 chapters, chapter 25 to 28. Chapter 25 is When to Wear Jewels. Chapter 26 is In So Harbor. Chapter 27 is What Must Be Done. And chapter 28 is A Cluster of Rosebuds.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, you've already read up to there, hey Joe?
No, I was looking it up while he was speaking. Chapter 28,
okay.
A Cluster of Rosebuds, is Matt's chapter. I just saw the dice. The dice symbol. So, hey, Matt's back.
And the other 3 chapters, I'm pretty sure, are parent chapters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the first one
I
that you
finished the
mentioned,
book with the hope
25 is
that
parent.
if I finish it up all the way to the end, it's gonna have some, like a hook that sits in my lip and just drags me up the bank
And?
of this book. You got a hard job ahead of you still.
And guts you and flays you and throws you on a bride.
2 more episodes, 2 more installments of dragging Will along for this.
Up the bank.
The bank by the lip.
Hey, did you catch any trout?
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
catch
I
5
did.
pound trout?
No, it's 5 pound
£5
trout. I
trout.
wish. I had some bad luck with breaking equipment and breaking my back.
back.
And,
Yeah, no.
no, just,
Shouldn't
but
do
yes,
that.
Bill
camping,
can't even go
it's
fishing
always
anymore. He's too
good.
old.
Well, Willie, it sounds to me like you need a good rest. So until we talk again, I will say to you, specifically, sleep well and wake with a better back.
I thank you very much.
Cheers, everyone.